Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast number 161 with your host, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, along with Johnny V.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Wisconsin. You've been gone for almost like a week and a half over in Nantucket, 2 weeks or something like that, and then the Green Mountain. You've been missing.
I have been, and after a few days, I leave tomorrow morning. After a few more days, I think it's something around like 26 out of 33 days or something like that, and of the 33 days, I'll have been gone away. It's been a very crazy 5 consecutive weekends with bigger scale events that need traveling to, and it's definitely been pretty intense.
So when you come back, now does your wife just have the papers ready for you? Or
yeah, she's like, I just need you to sign this quick.
Sign
one
this.
would think, oh, no, it's something for school. No, there are other papers. No.
And some lawyer standing behind her.
I don't know.
Well, whatever.
But nonetheless, back I get to see the kids have been super active, actually, and had to pick some up for, there was scouting things yesterday, art club today, all that stuff, just to see them for a few hours here and there, and then back on the road again tomorrow.
Yeah,
so.
Get ready, because I'm going to be hitting everybody up for some Boy Scout popcorn. You can buy it online once I get that info. And because you're not going to be hitting them up for Girl Scout cookies later in the year.
Actually, they're selling nuts right now. I just signed off on something about the Girl Scouts. I don't even remember this happening, but apparently at this time of season it's nuts, and then a little later in the year they're going to be selling cookies.
Yeah, popcorn and wreaths right now for us. So I'm looking at getting rid of some of that Boy Scout popcorn. We'll see. The jalapeno cheddar is pretty good.
We'll see about that. So we're here. We're back this weekend. Real quick preview. Well, I'll talk about it more a little later. But yes, tomorrow, heading out to initially a quick stop in Nashville. Going to spend the night there, I believe, and then getting over to the United States Women's Disc Golf Championships. That's taking place in Johnson City, PDGA Major, of course, presented by Prodigy Disc. And there's action that takes place already on Thursday. I just hit up my pal, Paige Pierce. Dynamic Disc, I believe, is putting on, or has at least in some capacity, very generously helped support a doubles match or a doubles tournament, kind of a preliminary doubles event taking place on Thursday. And way back at Ledgestone, I saw some high fives or some banter back and forth with Paige Pierce teaming up with Madison Walker, no big shock. And then they're going to play in the same group along with Zoe Andyke and Valerie Jenkins. And somehow I got roped into filming this, but I couldn't think of a more fun group to film.
I don't think there was any roping. I have a feeling you probably threw your hand in the air and volunteered after your name might have been thrown out as a suggestion.
Well, I was glad to be there, and I'm glad to cover it. So that's what's going to be taking place already on Thursday. That is not an official part of the event in terms of actual scoring, but here's an interesting side note. In talking to Madison at the few minutes I enjoyed of Fall Fest this last weekend, she said she's going to be playing left-handed. So as many of you know, injured. Yeah. She's been darting back and forth to get home for wrist appointments and things of that nature, but she is fully committed to playing every shot left-handed. And Val said, even the putting? And she's like, yep. So it could be very interesting. And even Madison offered to Paige and said, hey, I will bow out so you can get a better partner. And Paige said, no, I want you, and I will take you even left-handed. So should be entertaining, to say the least.
It's gonna be entertaining for the first 3 holes, and then it could get brutal to watch.
We'll see. I'm assuming it's best shot.
It's gonna be fun. Hopefully it's best shot.
Yeah,
and then
it will be.
But
so,
well, we'll see.
Yeah.
I wish nothing but the best for Madison, and I hope she comes.
We could see some left-handed heroics, some offhand heroics. She said she's been practicing that way.
Well, that's great.
So it should be a really good group, and I know it's open to everybody, so please go out and participate. You can find the details online. It is a flex start. I'm going to say it's 10 to 3 or maybe 9 to 3 in terms of the flex start. Later on that night is when the players' meeting is. So find the details online, but I know that's taking place. There's an AM division or pro division, and there's added cash and added merchandise and lots of fun, and Paige is kind of spearheading it along with some friends over at DD. So looking forward to that for sure. And again, we can maybe talk U.S. women's a little bit later. For now, tonight, we've got some great stuff to recap. We can talk a little bit about what we just saw at the Green Mountain Championships. Of course, what is the final regular stop of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And then, what else did I have in mind? I don't know. We're going to have Steve Dodge. Maybe that's where I was going. At some point, Steve is going to join us for just a little bit. Maybe he'll talk a little bit about the Green Mountain Championships, but then also some of the details that we were just trying to flesh out a few minutes ago regarding the Pro Tour Finals taking place in Jacksonville.
Yeah,
so,
he is. We just got off a conference call with him. And
that sounds so official and formal.
It does. It does. When it was really just my speakerphone sitting here.
You and I in your basement.
Yeah, in the speakerphone. And I forgot to ask him about the media exemption to get into the finals. Whether or not we can just get you on MP, like that bottom MPO card. Just see how you compete.
That's a good call.
I'll fly down.
There's going to be some open spots.
Yeah, I have a feeling there will be. Not everyone's going to make it. Maybe I'll fly down and try.
Good call. You should.
Nothing wrong with that.
You should. It would be.
Or maybe we need media trading cards. We need to be on a media trading card, like the Smashbox crew.
That's an idea.
Every year they do the trading cards. If you make it, your top 50 or 75 or whatever it is. Let's get a Smashbox trading card.
Okay. Well, I'll take that up with Dodge.
All right. Good.
So let's hit something. I guess. Do you want to talk results, or do we want to hit some other stuff head on, or where do you want to go with this?
We'll wait for GMC for a little bit. We got there was a lot of events this year. I'm counting
this year. There sure were.
This weekend. 7 A tiers, 8 A tiers. Just on this weekend, we'll start. I'm going to go through them pretty quick here. The 2017 Outlaws out of Round Rock, Texas. Down in Round Rock, Texas. Sorry. Kyle Ellis wins that one, taking home $1,100. He's a 990 rated player, winning by 4 strokes. There was no FPO field in the Masters. Kevin Eldridge takes that home. The Power Grip Tour, foreign names here. You're gonna wreck me here. Over in Finland, and Veno Michaela wins open there, 32 under par. Doesn't have amount of money he won, so he won by a single stroke. And in the Open Women, Henna Blomros, who we've seen win a lot of events over there lately, she's taking. It seems like anything that's going on lately, her name is right up there in the top 3. So the Peoria Frisbee Club has the Greater Peoria Open, which we've been to. We used to attend
way back in
many years ago. Dylan Lotak takes that one down. Dylan, I believe we saw him at Am Worlds this year. Was that him?
It was either him or his dad.
Yep. Let me take a look here. Advanced. He took second at the PDGA Am Worlds. Yes. So coming out and playing open, beating Ziggy and Thomas Earhart, Stephen Jacobs, another Am Worlds finisher, top finisher. So that is a very, very solid field to win by. So congratulations, Dylan. And taking open women is Wisconsin's own Holly Finley. So congratulations, Holly. Let's talk about the Charlie Vettner Open presented by Prodigy Discs out of Louisville, Kentucky. Taking that one down, who wasn't at the Pro Tour event, Chris Dickerson. So he decided to stay home.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming he has a finals position locked up already. I haven't looked, to be honest, but I know he's played at a few of them and done well. And so congratulations, Chris Dickerson, taking this one down by 8 strokes over Brad Schick and Matthew Kern. So congratulations, Chris. In the open women field, it was Courtney Cannon. So Courtney Cannon.
Pixie, as she goes by.
Pixie, yes. She won by 10 strokes. I'm assuming there was no finals for the open women like there was for the open men. So congratulations.
And update, Chris Dickerson finds himself in 20th place. So even with not attending this last event, he is in 20th place in the Disc Golf Pro Tour standings, which gives him a bye to the quarterfinals. So I'm not sure, depending on where he placed, what that would have done. That's all a bunch of math. But he had a bye into the quarterfinals, it looks like. So that's where we're going to see him. I'm not sure he would have gotten enough. Could have probably not gotten enough points.
It looks like he probably
maybe he could have if he would have had a great performance.
If he would have taken first or second, he might have been able to.
No,
he just would have been top of the quarterfinals because there was a big chunk between.
Exactly.
Well,
between 8th and 9th place, there was actually a significant jump.
thing. So there's no way he was going to make it.
So he was kind of locked into that positioning regardless.
Yeah, so it didn't really matter that he didn't play. So congratulations, Chris. Apparently you made the right choice because you came home with $1,200.
And one thing that's also really cool I know about that event is every year, the following year, whoever won it on the previous year is then featured with a caricature of sorts on the stamp for the next year's disc.
Oh, nice.
In terms of the open men's. So that
something
means,
like that disc right there?
Yes, correct.
Awesome.
So that means Chris will be featured if they maintain tradition, I believe. That means Chris will be featured on the stamp for next year's Charlie Ventnor Open disc. So something kind of cool. And it's, of course, much closer to him than heading up to Vermont as well. So playing the math game.
Made total sense. So, and the Innova Disc Golf presents the Augusta Disc Golf Classic. That's down in Langley, South Carolina. Taking that one down, Josh Childs.
And I believe his wife, I saw a post, his wife won it in...
Open women, Haley Childs.
Exactly. Doesn't get any better than that.
I'm looking for any of the Childs to see if they won juniors.
Pretty sure they don't have any Childs yet.
I don't think they have any Childs. But so congratulations, Josh and Haley, on a very good weekend for your family, taking home a combined $1,530. Josh ended up beating Mark Poole and Aaron Doyle. So well done, well done, well done. The 16th annual Solitude Open over in Salt Lake City. This is usually one of those events that we see a lot of pros used to go to this. And I think, is this the one that wasn't sanctioned a couple of years ago, and now over the past year or two they finally sanctioned it? Is that the?
Are you maybe confused with Kiss the Sky from 30 years ago?
No, not Kiss the Sky. I'm pretty sure.
Then I don't recall.
The Solitude Open. Either way, Solitude Open out of Salt Lake City, Utah. Taking that down is Alex Russell, 1,007 rated. He shot what looked to be. That can't be right. Someone made a mistake. I looked and it looked like the second round, nobody shot over 880. So somebody messed
a rough
up.
Day out on the course.
Yeah, rough day. So it looks like somebody took round 2 and messed that up with round 1. Probably copied what round 1 was for a par. And yeah, there's no way everyone shot in the 880s or 840s. So I was going to say what he averaged, and that kind of messed me up. But congratulations to Alex Russell on taking that down, beating
averaging
JC Kester.
averaging 904 golf on the weekend, and winning an A tier
and winning $1,100. That's one I need to get out to apparently.
Yeah, exactly.
Anybody can win that.
That's more my speed. Yeah.
JC Kester the fourth and Jesse Adams. So congratulations to those guys. In the open women is Karina Knowles. She's been winning a lot of stuff over in that area of the country as well. She finishes well when she plays with a lot of the top women, but she has a knack of winning all the other events. Kind of like almost like a local FPO pro, like we've seen Bradley Williams do in Texas in the past. Chris Herron or Scott Bertard here in Wisconsin used to do that. So one of those people that doesn't travel a lot, but overall plays pretty well.
Some sweet action, and then I'll mention them, give them a quick shout out. It was a 3-day B tier, and it was a pretty large one at that. Out at San Francisco, the Anderson Valley Brewing presents the 2017 Safari. They just added a whole bunch of words to it instead of, it used to be, I think, just the San Francisco Safari back in the day. And obviously they have sponsors. And in somewhat exciting fashion, it looked as if Patrick Brown, who's eligible for Masters, as many of you know, ended up taking down James Proctor in the Open division, and that's all the news that I saw from it. So I just thought I'd spew it out because it didn't even require me to click on a button.
Which is, you wouldn't know that from looking at the PDGA results because it has them both tied for first and James Proctor on top. So
yeah, well,
you know what that is? That's a rookie TD problem. Do you know who ran that event?
Oh, yeah, Jamie Thomas. Where are you at, bro?
Come on. No, Jamie Thomas, this is his first PDGA event. We had a little offline conversation on Facebook. So congratulations, Jamie, for dipping your toe in the TD pool. I didn't hear anything bad about it, so I must be.
Oh, I got bad stuff. So
good.
I heard no, but in all seriousness, what I will say is he made a post that is spot on with what a lot of others would say if they jumped into this. He basically, he thanked all of his tremendous staff and volunteers and supporters and sponsors and all of those people, and then he at one point said, I have an even greater respect for tournament directors that do this on a regular basis. And I know what they did was no short effort whatsoever or anything small. It was seemingly a great event. But that's always a good way to look at it. And I know a lot of default answers people will say when they make a complaint about an event. It's easy for someone like myself who's run a ton of events or others to say, when's the last time you ran an event, which is easy to blurt out. But it is a tremendous effort, and once you go and run an event or assistant TD an event, you see just what people have to go through. And it's so much more than, this guy forgot a T sign, or they forgot a this, or there's a spelling error on hole 9 of the caddy book, or the fact that a caddy book exists, or whatever. It's a tremendous amount of effort almost at every level. Even your C tiers with 58 people at them, there's still a lot of effort and sacrifice that every TD has to make. So go out and lend a hand once in a while, and you'd be surprised just how much work that goes into being into one of those.
On the open women's side, we see Jennifer Morgan taking that down. Well, I'm going to take a wild guess because there's Jennifer Morgan and Leslie Todd both tied for first, and I don't know who won that then.
On same event?
On FPO, same event. They both say won, just like MPO. And if you're telling me Patrick Brown won, I don't know if Leslie Todd won or Jennifer Morgan. So either way, it looks like it was a very good battle because they were tied for first after the third round. So congratulations to Leslie Todd, Jennifer Morgan. Whoever won, congratulations to you. It was a hard-fought battle, clearly.
Since this kind of ties in together a topic that I had penciled in for later, but it perfectly ties in now, and Adam Lawrence is spot on with something I was going to bring up later. So if you bring up your PDJ results again, go back out there, Johnny, and find whatever the event name was in Colorado this weekend.
The Superior, Colorado, the Friday at Purple Park one-round flex.
No, that wouldn't have been it.
Okay.
Although that would have been a lot of fun.
The Johnny Roberts Memorial out of Brighton, Colorado, the B tier.
Click on the results there and see if that's the event. Scroll down a little bit further into the other division, and there it is. All right, so here's the conversation. It looks as if, and this is all assuming, which I believe they did, they played all the same tees. We see Joe Revere shooting a total of, what does that say, 185? No, 165?
Yes, 165.
And if you scroll all the way up to the in a 26-person Masters field, in a 24-person Open field, the winner, which was Jim Kelly.
Yep, shooting a 21 under par.
Shooting a 21 under par, shooting a 176. So shooting, 11 strokes
11
worse
strokes
than what Joe Revere shot in Masters. This is after a final, so on and so forth. So Eagle McMahon had taken that information and recently brought it to Facebook saying, here's Joe Revere, here's what he shot, and basically, how do you guys feel about that? And as others said, I think outright, was he sandbagging?
Sure. Yes, he's earned that.
He's earned what?
He's earned
the sandbagging?
He's earned the right to sandbag. He's earned the right to play in a Masters field. He's been, I know it sounds stupid, but Joe particularly has been playing the sport long enough, has put in his time to play that. But let's just say even somebody that started out at the age of 40 and is playing at a top tier level, it's unfortunate, but yes, you can play the Masters field. You can make that determination as far as which field has more players. Now, if you look, the Masters had 26, the Open had 24.
So had he moved,
it would have been 25 and 25. So he picked the easier, in theory, division with the less higher rated players. Now, granted, he's the only, Robert Nichols, who looked like he DNF'd, is rated 1,006. That is the only other 1,000 rated player. Now, I would have to take a look and figure it out, but the winner of Open got 615. The winner of Masters got 605. Joe made, without probably knowing what each winner was going to get, whether how much added cash there was, he probably knew that much ahead of time. He chose to take the Masters field down. And would it surprise you if the open field, even at the same amount of players, had $100 or $200 more? Because the added cash doesn't have to be added to Masters, does it?
It has to be.
It has to be divvied up a certain way, but at some point, can't you? If I had 5,000 added cash, can I add 3,000 to open, 1,000 to women, and only 1,000 to Masters?
Yeah, you need to. We just talked about this, and I don't want to trip over my own previous wording. You need to add added cash proportionally until it meets the requirements.
Yes.
If somebody wants to make sure I'm right on that.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Proportionally until it meets the
minimum requirements.
The minimum
of the tier.
requirements.
Correct. So if just looking at the number, if there was let's just pretend there's 5,000 added cash. He decides to play the Masters field where only 1,000 of that goes. The Open gets 3,000. Are people complaining? If he cleans up in Masters and doesn't win, he's now given a different person an opportunity to win Open.
And that's exactly what someone had replied. And somebody can maybe correct me if I'm wrong. I can't find the post anymore, and it's driving me crazy. It was on. I know Eagle had posted it, and there was obviously a healthy discussion that went on after that. And Eagle had just flat out said, "I think Joe should have played Open here."
Based strictly at competition level, yes. If you want to look at it non-objectively and say, look at the competition level in Masters, look at the competition level in Open, I belong competition level wise in the Open field. That is where I will have the most competitive play. Sure, that's where he quote unquote belongs. That doesn't necessarily mean he has to play there. As we know, he can play in the Masters. And we've said it before, playing in Open is a different type of pressure than playing in Masters. He won by 11 strokes. Most of these guys, these top tier guys, they've been under this type of pressure 1,000 times. It really probably doesn't matter too much to them whether they play in Open versus Masters. They're playing to their capabilities. I have no problem with it personally. I think he should play wherever he feels like he wants to play.
I totally agree, and I have to make the most sincere apology. I thought it was on Eagle's page. It is, in fact, directly on Eagle's dad's page, Pat McMahon. So I apologize. I wish I could rewind, and maybe I saw Eagle reference it or post it or repost it or something like that is maybe what I saw at one point. That's what I thought I saw, but it was, in fact, his dad that had made the original post. And so if you want to read it, I'm guessing it's relatively public. I can see it. He said he is eligible to play Masters, but come on, man. He averaged more than 50 points per Master rating. He is the best player in the state and belongs in the Open, in my opinion. He would have won Open easily, too. No offense to Joe, but he bagged big time. And I thought that was just a really interesting take on it. And I understand what he's getting at. I understand that he clearly, more than likely, could have or may have dominated the Open division. But my only response would be, if he's eligible to play Masters, nobody can stop him or tell him otherwise.
Yeah.
And I take this a step further, and I'll say the exact same thing when it comes to any other division and any other player. And what I mean is, if you're rated 899 and you are technically eligible at that point to play recreational, and you show up to a tournament or you show up to 20 tournaments in a row and you're rated 899, you are welcome and eligible to play recreational. Period. You may win all 20 tournaments, which would probably be tough to maintain your 899, but maybe not. And if you win all 20 tournaments, you can still do it. You may take a little criticism, which I don't think is fair. You may not be learning as much, or maybe you're learning how to win. I don't know what your case is, but I am 100% okay with playing where you are eligible. Because what happens far too often in our sport, and the term sandbagger gets thrown around, is what happens is you're rated 870, which is a recreational rating, and you show up and you play advanced men. which has a minimum of 935, and you get smoked by 44 strokes, and then you say, dude, the guy that beat me by 44 strokes, what a bagger. First of all, you're in the wrong division.
Mm-hmm.
And second of all, if that person was eligible to play advanced, then they played in the right spot anyway. I hate this argument.
And I patted you on the shoulder because we saw it with you a week and a half ago. You played advanced.
That shouldn't even count. It was so bad.
You played the advanced division. You have been an open. I know this is a slightly different argument. You played open for many, many, many years. When was the last time you played advanced in a singles event?
17 years.
17 years.
18 years ago.
So you right now qualify for advanced division.
Correct. Working my way down to qualifying for intermediate.
Based on your player rating. But you could have played up to play open, in theory. I know you were busy that day doing filming, but you at times are an open caliber player, depending on the course, depending on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
I've got no problem with you playing advanced. I've got no problem with Joe Revere playing Masters because that's where he's qualified to play based on age. Now, sure. I personally, in this type of field, I don't see a problem. Yeah, does it suck for Chris Thomas,
No,
Chad
it
Johnson?
doesn't suck.
Joe, it does suck for them because they didn't.
Because some guy showed up and played where he can.
It sucks because they basically lost their chance to win had he played open. You can't blame him, but sure, it stinks for him. But guess who it's awesome for? Jim Kelly, Andrew Herrera, and David Littlejohn, who now moved up a spot probably in the open field. So give or take what you want. I think it's a bad argument. You and I are on the same page on this. I think that you play where you feel comfortable. You play where you want to play. Does anybody cry if Johnny McRae goes to a huge event and plays Masters?
No, but they also shouldn't cry even if he plays in a C tier in Masters.
Yeah.
Because he can play there if he wants to for any given reason. I don't care what his reason is. If he wants to, he can do that. He is 40 plus. He's just biologically earned that right by being 40 plus.
Yep. Yeah. I mean,
I don't know. I hate that conversation, and I hate that also.
Yeah, Chris Young says he lost his chance to win at GMC because of Cutler, Yeti, and Baldwin. We're all playing MPM.
Yeah.
Oh, them. Ugh.
I just and I think one of the biggest sandbagging conversations, which kind of is a side note to this, but as I said, what I see a lot of times are people playing up in divisions where they're not quote unquote qualified. They play up, and then when they get people that are beat by people that are better than them statistically, then they call that person a bagger, and that's not fair either. If you played in your division where you belong, so to speak, per rating, you'd probably have far less frustrations in your life.
Yeah.
But if somebody shows up that's rated 898 and they win the rec division, good on them. I'm good with that.
Sure.
I don't know. Anyway, so that was kind of an interesting side note. Again, I saw the debate go back and forth. Again, I apologize. It was not Eagle's original post, but I saw the debate go back and forth, and I thought I'd throw out my 2 cents on that. Yeah. And whatever his reason is, I even reached out to Joe, and I don't even know if I asked him for the reason, because quite frankly, I didn't care. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care if he told me I wanted to play earlier in the day. I wanted to play with 3 of my best friends, are the top players there. I thought it'd be more fun to play with them. I wanted to take it easy this weekend and not play as hard.
There's a guy.
I don't care what your reason is.
We have a guy here in Milwaukee, a good friend of ours, Johnny Rumble, who can play anywhere from not Grandmasters.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Grandmasters. He's pro Grandmasters to open. He's so good in this area. He has a phenomenal drive, straight as an arrow, and is a really good putter. And any given course out in the Milwaukee area, he will walk off a champion. Nobody complains. Now, he has, for the most part, stuck to his Grandmasters division, but he will step up to Masters on occasion. He'll play it for team events. He'll play it if there's not enough Grandmasters, and he has to step up to Masters. Or if the field is big enough in Masters, if you've got a 25-person field and a 3-person Grandmaster field, great. would the argument be there if the fields weren't the same? If there was only 12 open players in Colorado and there was 25 Masters, should he still play open even though he will win more money in Masters? Do you have to play where your particular rating is in this case? But I don't know. This is an argument that's going to go on for a long time in our sport, but
it will. And a side note to the conversation taking place, Michael Johansson is in fact a little younger than both Johnny and myself. He is 38, which means he's about a year and a half to 2 years away from being eligible for the Masters division. So just to put that one to bed, I know a lot of people ask it frequently. Michael Johansson. I just remember, I didn't remember the specific age. I just always remember when I first heard of his age a few years ago, I just always thought, okay, so he's younger than me.
Yeah.
And
and somebody out there, those EMAC, I believe is almost exactly our age. I don't know if he'll qualify for Masters. I think
he
next
does.
year.
Yeah, he
next
does.
year
in Kansas City.
Yep, next year Eric, myself, and Terry all qualify for the Masters.
And Avery Jenkins.
Even though Avery has sworn up and down he'll never play Masters. I can't wait to write that on a sandwich and make him eat it, because I think when you play as little as he does and you start to see that money in Masters look a little easier, I think you have a change of heart.
Wow.
I honestly do. So I have a feeling you will see Avery play the Masters field in the next 5 years.
And as Disc Golf Nerd has said on the board, Ron Converse fits in a very similar conversation. He is obviously he's Grandmaster's age. He's now a 2-time Grandmaster World Champion, and he could go win an Open tournament on any given weekend. And wherever Ron Converse wants to show up and play that he's eligible for, I wholeheartedly back. If he says there's a 10-person Open field that he's better than, and there's a 3-person Grandmasters field and he goes to make it to be the 4th, good for him. I don't care. He's got his reasons. It's not for me to tell him where to go play. I think it might make more sense to do this, or logically this or that, but that's not my call.
There are 1,000 reasons you may want to play a different division.
Yeah,
you may not
like
you may not like somebody in that field and think, there's no way I want to play with that person. I will not even play in that division. And you've earned that based on your age. So
exactly. And McRae and Schultz, all those people, yes, all
Macbeth
in a similar well,
he's got back pains. I mean, he's clearly getting old, right? He's a master.
All right, so we'll switch to that right away.
That's a subtle segue.
Yeah, that was brilliant. So Macbeth pain. No. Paul Macbeth
right?
had in fact a few days ago withdrawn from his first ever PDGA event. And to me, knowing the integrity and the style and the tenacity and the way that Paul Macbeth competes, I think it is a direct slap in the face to anyone that thinks that he withdrew per his performance. I'm sorry, it frustrates me. And all of the armchair Monday morning hindsight blah blah blahs at home can sit and say they analyzed the tapes and they saw him throw.
Why did he throw an Anheuser on this shot if his back is sore?
Yeah.
And if this is because I'm old. If you've never had back problems, A, count yourself lucky, but B, there are as many types of backs as there are that many problems. Upper back, lower back, sciatic, all this stuff. Slip discs, herniated discs, all that stuff. And they all affect you a little differently, whether it's a pulled muscle or strained muscle, a tore muscle. I'm not going to judge because it's probably been 6 years since I played an event, slipped and fell on my bottom, got up, finished the round without a problem, sat down for lunch, and I couldn't stand up after lunch. I felt fine the rest of that round. But when I sat down for lunch, suddenly I couldn't get up. I was in so much pain, and it turns out that I had a bulging disc from when I landed on my butt. I slipped on some dew. I played the next round, and it was the worst round. Like, I just wanted to get through it. And then at some point you just sit there because you don't feel it right away. So if Macbeth did tweak his back either at the end of the first round or in between rounds or whatever, he might not have known it. And I wish him the best. I hope he feels better. I hope he gets better. I know he was saying that he's already feeling pretty much well enough to putt, but there's no way he can drive. He said the twisting still hurts.
So I understand, and there can be jokes, and I even opened.
Oh, of course.
Even opened with a joke about it.
You can make fun of him.
Sure.
There's no reason not
I broke
to
my
make fun.
back. It's broken. It's final.
It's final.
Mike Tyson quote, for those that didn't see it on my Facebook. It was pretty funny. You should Google Mike Tyson broken back. It's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'm just going to say that to think that I guess my next question would be, what does he have to by withdrawing? I don't know. He played through the rainstorm. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of like a logical reason why, what he has to gain by withdrawing. Maybe that's the question I would put out there is, what does he have to gain by withdrawing?
Nothing. I mean,
and for someone making the argument that he wasn't
doing it because
really
he
injured.
was playing so bad, because at one point I think he was like 9 or 11 over par.
Sure.
Guess what? He's not worried about his rating. That he doesn't give a crap about that, because guess what? If he continued to play that bad, that rating's gone anyway.
Yeah.
If it's less than 1,005, probably,
yeah,
it's off his record.
So that wouldn't even have mattered.
So that doesn't matter. He's not.
You don't think he could battle back in the last 2 rounds and get significantly into the cash or comfortably? Of course he could.
Oh yeah.
So that's not
definitely. I mean, if it came down to, even if he continued at that 11 over par, the next 2 rounds he probably shoots 6 or 7 down, bumps himself up into mid to medium cash. I don't think his ego's going to hurt that much if he said, "Oh yeah, guess what? This is what I did." No, he didn't. He doesn't want to hurt himself because, frankly, that event didn't mean anything to him. He says he loves the courses, he enjoys the scenery, but he's locked himself into a position in the finals. He didn't want to hurt himself, and he's got USDGC and Hall of Fame Classic that he's concerned about. 2 events that on his radar are bigger to him for the National Tour point victory and the major. So he just decided, you know what? I'm done. I'm not going to even risk it.
Yeah. I guess I'm just going to leave it at that. And everybody can be naysayers and everybody can say and think what they want. I'm going to continue to firmly believe his logic and his post and his actions were all within the utmost, I don't want to say good intentions, but we're all legitimate is how I would say that. And if you guys want to think otherwise, you can. Everybody, is now all of a sudden a doctor or some kind of analyst watching video and telling you. I don't know how anyone can tell you how someone else is feeling except for that person themselves. And there's just not enough for him to gain by withdrawing.
No.
And risking everything that goes along with it, not only just the money and the performance and the potential ridicule, everything that goes along with it. I don't know why someone thinks he would really do that, but that's fine. If you want to, go ahead and continue to believe that. I will, for the record, because some people will ask us how we feel. I, for the record, have no problem firmly believing in exactly what he said and how he posted. So that's where I'm at. All right. Now, and he had said it's not as serious as some of his other back problems. I believe that. And B, he probably doesn't want it to get as serious as any other back problems. As others are saying, it just got done raining. You're going to continue to play out in these wet conditions. You already have a bad back.
Well,
withdrawing is dare I say, logical.
Yeah,
and you don't think he really wants that blemish?
No.
Of having a withdrawal on your record? Like, nobody wants one.
But nobody wants
he's this many years into his career. You think he's like, I'm just going to call it quits because I'm a sore loser. So I'm just going to call it quits. Now's the time.
Yeah. He gave a interview with Dixon Jowers on Dixon Jowers podcast. You can listen to it.
Are we charging for this plug?
No. So if you want to go and listen to, it was like a 3 or 4 minute phone conversation, basically saying, comparing it to his other back issue. He said last time I believe he fractured a vertebrae, cracked it, or something along those lines. He said this feels different. It feels lower in his back, which he hasn't seen any sort of doctor, but he feels that it is more muscular probably and not so much spinal.
Spinal.
It's not spinal.
My back is broken. Like a vertebrae? I don't know. It's spinal. It's just one of my oh, I love that. Anyway. All right. So we can move on from that. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the message board, reading on. As always, I'll go ahead and make the plug now. If you want to follow along, sometimes we interact and listen and read things that are taking place during our live or on the live chat found on the YouTube application or on the YouTube website. There's also going to be something running that's going on during our or on our SmashBoxxTV Facebook page, which we don't pay nearly as much attention to. So if you want to tag along and provide input, which we may or may not acknowledge and or recognize, you can do so on the live chat on YouTube. And we get a lot more interactive during the slower time during the after show. So just to throw that out there.
The other big news from GMC, other than the play, Simon Lizotte just giving away his bag. He walked off the course. There was a scorekeeper that had kept score for him for a round two. This all broke on Reddit, funny enough, as it is. The guy posts, he says, hey, look what I got. This Simon just gave it to me. And there were so many people that were like, liar. What do you lie? And Simon apparently had it with this plastic. And was just like, I'm done with this stuff. I'm going to get new stuff, which is funny because today there was a new Simon disc announced, of all things. Handed the kid, the guy, whatever, I think he's in his late teens, 19, 18, 20, somewhere around there, and handed him the bag with all the plastic in it. Just said, it's yours. And the thread on Reddit was kind of along the lines of, that's awesome, that's great. How far do you throw? Can you turn any of it over? And the guy's like, no, but I do throw like 500 feet. So not the worst person to give it to. But he says all of it is more stable than anything that I throw, which makes a lot of sense for Simon. Apparently Simon went back later, messaged the guy, they went back and forth, and said, it's not just an awesome bag and discs. There's like 2 prototype discs in there. There's a couple, like 4 or 5 different first run discs in there that Simon obviously has. A lot of these guys have this special plastic that you and I, most average people probably don't get a hold of. And just some really cool, unique plastic. He said there's like a prototype Simon Lizotte stamp thing in there. And so the kid got a pretty valuable package handed to him just for being there, for keeping score for Simon's card for like a round or two. I guess he's a big Simon fan in general. Simon came up and says, do you know who I am? And the guy's like, yeah. He's like, okay, here, take this. That was it. So
yeah, very cool story. There's a number of different sources that I know wanted to confirm it just because of that, the nature of the story. I believe Ultraworld did. I know Steve Dodge was looking into it. I wasn't really surprised. The gesture is very Simon-like in terms of just the graciousness that he carries and the fun demeanor. And then I believe I read recently. Somebody had said, somebody sent me a message. I apologize for whom it was, but somebody sent me a private message saying that Simon then showed up to their league
up in Canada visiting some family.
Yeah, up in Canada visiting his uncle and the rest of the family. Showed up to their league or showed up to a course and then set the course record by like 5 strokes with a whole brand new bag. Yeah. And of course, no one should be surprised by that.
No. Well, first of all, I'm sure the course record probably isn't something to really worry about for a lot of these top pros. But second of all, we've seen Simon do this before. He said, and we saw Eagle do this. It must be a Discmania thing. Like Eagle earlier this year got rid of every disc in his bag and just started from scratch. Simon didn't like the way the discs were performing for him, so he thought he needed a fresh start. And then, of course, today, Discmania announced the new Lizotte FD3 Doom Bird. So it's an FD3 with a special Simon Lizotte stamp. It kind of looks like a chicken, like a skeleton chicken, but it's called the Doom Bird. It is, I mean, it's a pretty cool looking stamp. So they're going to come out soon, like around September 20th, they say. So maybe Simon will just have a bag full of these
Yeah, exactly. Just 20 doom birds.
20 doom birds.
In his bag. No, I think he made a post today showing his maybe P2s or PX1s or QZs or whatever. He made a post today showing that this is what I'll be putting with the rest of the year. We saw that as well. So
we've said it 1,000 times. It's, as the old saying goes, it's the Indian, not the arrow. It doesn't matter what you put in these guys' hands. It doesn't matter which manufacturer they have. All of these top 20 or 25 players are going to perform as well no matter what you put in their hand for the most part. So,
well, and the conversation on the board says that Simon needs to move on from Discmania. I'm not sure where you think he's going to go or who's going to possibly pay him more and or help more than the help that he's gotten.
No, he doesn't need to go anywhere.
I don't foresee that happening anytime soon. Yeah. So. So a very cool story, very cool on Simon for doing such, and a lucky kid for sure. So, I mean, there it is. All you have to do is show up to a Disc Golf Pro Tour stop, score keep for a couple cards on udisclive.com, and you're all but guaranteed a top player's entire bag with all their favorite discs. I mean, look how often it happens. Just this last weekend.
Yeah. I mean, figure there were 10 events this year. It happened once. That's one out of
9
every 10.
events. Yeah.
Or 9 events. One out of every 9 events it's going to happen.
At least. I mean, just do the math
if
on
not, contact UDisc.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they have a support page.
So awesome. Congrats. And speaking of some follow-up to GMC action, I should probably double-check that Steve Dodge isn't trying to reach out to me. But some other follow-up is go out to the Flickr page and look around on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Alyssa Van Lannen, Dan Nay also has they have a ton of photos out there. They're awesome. Just go check them out. That's on the Disc Golf Pro Tour's Flickr page. You can see them out there. They both did an amazing job. I don't know if there are any other contributors in terms of the weekend's images, but it's a lot of really, really good stuff from a variety of players and sponsored players and scenic and action and everything in between. So some really good stuff out there. So another conversation piece for sure that then went around this weekend, and I know we already touched on it a little bit. It's just Doss with this big win.
Well, okay. Well, if we haven't even talked about it, so let's.
Oh, we haven't. No, that was in my head.
Let's quickly go over the Green Mountain Challenge results. Championship results. I always leave off the championship. So, because I always forget if it's challenge or championship, so I just leave it off.
Was that you? I saw it somewhere wrong the other day. I don't remember if it was you or not, but I saw challenge posted somewhere. I think you did it.
I might have.
And I saw challenge. I'm like, no, it's championships.
Yeah. Anyway, I always just try to leave off that last word because I'm afraid I'm going to screw it up. So,
score successful. Good job.
I'm glad you brought it up. I really appreciate that.
No different than me mispronouncing Fox Run Meadows and Brewster Ridge. So you need to. I need to remember, not you. I do. It's Brewster Ridge, which is singular, and then Fox Run Meadows, plural. I'll screw that up 100 more times between now and next year's Worlds. So there's my disclaimer.
More than likely. So we saw a huge, huge swing this weekend with the underdog, Nate Doss, winning. The 3-time world champion underdog.
I thought you were going to say the underdog 4-time world champion Paige Pierce.
No, that's later. We're going to do that a little later. No, Nate Doss, who has had very good, I don't want to say good luck. He's played always very well up there. 2 years ago, he took 2nd. Last year, I think he took 9th. And this year, he wins it. This is huge for him. He had an A-tier win in 2012. But to be honest, it was kind of, I'll say this, it was kind of a weak A-tier as far as competition goes. There weren't that many top-rated players there. It was up in Canada. I believe it was like the Maple Leaf.
Toronto Island Open, yep.
Toronto Island Open Maple Leaf, I think is what it was called. So really, 2011 was his last huge win. His last
2012.
That's what I'm saying. 2012, he won that A-tier, but didn't really have anything.
Oh, okay.
So other than that, 2011 was really his last big season, his last good year, his last big event to truly win, other than, of course, the Skyline this year, the B tier he won, that Terry ran. So it goes to show you how consistent Nate is, because nobody is surprised when he takes top 5. Nobody's surprised when he takes 2nd, 3rd, but it is a little bit of a surprise when he wins because he just hasn't been able to make that final push for many years now. It's like he's just something gets in his way, either himself, a tree, or just a player shooting phenomenally to beat him. And he was finally able to put it together. One bogey the entire weekend. One bogey, he went out of bounds.
And that was during the
final round.
Final round? Yeah, the
Final
fourth round.
round.
Okay.
So that is consistency beyond belief for a course that everybody had Ricky. I believe they already had his name etched in the the thing. They just put notches at the end now.
Yeah. Tally marks for whenever
exactly.
he wins.
Doss came out and beat the best in the world handily. He was never. It was very rarely in doubt that fourth round whether or not he was going to win. It got down to.
I love Nate, but I don't know if I'd say that. It got a little dicey.
I think it got down to 2 strokes.
You just would know more. I think the gap was closer than that even at one point.
Did it get down to 1 stroke? I don't think he was ever tied on that final round.
I don't recall. I just called. I
thought it was
the shots.
I thought it was 2 strokes, but
yeah. And again, I knew it was a great battle, and I knew anything could happen, and we saw this interesting charge and everything else. And it's not taking away from anyone. I would not. If I bet $10,000 on Doss winning that event going into the fourth round, it was if I had 10 grand and I said, all right, I'm putting this all on Nate Doss winning this, there are a few times I would have been sweating.
Correct.
There's no doubt. But you'd have to do the math. What about?
So okay. So I think he's up by 2.
I don't know.
I think maybe it was 1 stroke at one point, but he ended up winning by 2 over Michael Joe, 3 over Ricky. Ricky just didn't seem like it was kind of crazy early in the round. I was sweating a little bit because Nate wasn't hitting putts. He missed some easy stuff those first couple holes of that final round. But the problem was Ricky was hitting every tree off the fairway, as was Michael Joe. They're early. If you look at the 3 of them, in the front 5, which hole 1, that's a birdie hole.
Should be.
Hole 2, that should be a birdie hole.
Very much should be.
I mean, that's 280 feet up a pipe.
Yeah, and Paul Macbeth aced it in practice.
270.
Pre back problems. So that's
hole 3, 305. Hole 4 is a tough. Almost nobody.
Yeah,
birdies
that didn't get deuced all weekend.
Except for yes, it did. But Andrew Presnell, Kevin Jones.
Wow, very impressive.
AJ Risley.
Yeah, we were talking about
Nico,
how little hole 4 would get
Simon
2'd.
Yeah, I think at one point actually you said there was.
At one point there was 0 2s on that.
Yeah.
On that hole.
No, I think you misheard our little announcer guy in here. I think he said 6 and you said 0. Either way, and then hole 5 is birdieable, but Doss bogeyed. Not a lot of people birdied.
Yeah, that was his OB.
But that was his OB, and no one could catch him because everybody that was close to him was making the same mistakes. That last round early on was kind of a little silly to watch. I don't know. I never really was too worried about Nate. Like, by hole 9, I thought, okay, he has this. I'm not. It would take a meltdown by Nate to have it. I won't say a meltdown. It would take 2 or 3 consecutive bad holes, I thought, for him to give it up. And the way the other guys were playing, I didn't think they were going to be able to catch him. I didn't think there was enough time.
I think all the way down to, as someone was saying on the board, somewhere around like 16 or 17, it was down to a 1-stroke advantage.
I think it might have been 16, where Doss parred and Michael Joe birdied. But even then, honestly, I wasn't worried.
Sure.
I was fairly certain Doss was going to win at that point. So, I mean, congratulations. Everybody played really well. Doss averaged like 1062 rated golf. You can't argue. It's not like he won on some fluky event. The guy's just a model sportsman.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. And just to clarify for everyone, I know there's maybe been a little chatter out there and or question about it. I did, in fact, a few days ago, reach out to Nate Doss. It would have been great to have both Nate and Val join us. Obviously, they traveled together. But it would have been great to have them both join us tonight. However, they were traveling from Vermont down to Tennessee, and then they were going to do some camping, and they're going to be camping throughout this week, I believe, at Johnson City. So I spoke to him actually just minutes kind of before we went live, and he confirmed that they're just not for sure where they're setting up and what kind of availability they'll have, and things are a little bit up in the air for the night. So they do want to join us. Both of them will join us on another podcast on another night. Just tonight was not going to work out. And then I also reached out to Austin Turner, who we know won the weekend before in Nantucket, and Austin was on his way to the gym. I'm like, oh yeah, I skipped the gym on Tuesdays for the podcast or something. So just so you guys know, I have reached out to a couple of people, and things are getting a little intense to see all these people and to be on the road and to do everything and then come back and try and get everyone organized to get things dialed in. It just hasn't happened as easily as it can sometimes. So things will start to slow down and probably be a little bit easier for all of us in the next few weeks. But yeah, so very excited. As we said, moving to the U.S. Women's. Whoever wins the U.S. Women's definitely better be joining us next Tuesday night.
We'll get them.
Dare I say, is there a prediction? Is there a favorite? Is there
a favorite? Yeah, Paige Pierce.
Okay.
Yeah, the same person who just came back from 6 strokes down at Green Mountain to beat Sarah Hokum by a single stroke. I would, and the top of our field, who's been playing phenomenally all year, really only had like 1 or 2 hiccups throughout the season. She has to be your odds-on favorite. Jinx. I feel about her the way I felt about Ricky going into Green Mountain, where you just think, it is as close to a lock as you can ask for in as far as your odds go. Now, anyone can beat her. We could see Jessica Weiss step up. We could see Sarah Hokum. Kat could come back. Val
Hannah Leatherman.
Is Val playing?
Yeah.
Okay, Val is playing. Yes. Yeah, so, I don't know. I wouldn't say Hannah right now. I know she's won the U.S. Women's. She's been DNFing a little bit lately, and I think there's just something not right. It wouldn't shock me if she won, but I wouldn't put any money on her personally right now. So I just think Hannah's looks like she's been having a little bit of a downturn lately. So hopefully she gets her head in it and gets better, or whatever she needs to do to start competing. But
so one of the interesting side conversations though about the women this weekend,
Sarah Hokum, who had the lead, maintained the lead, so she thought, throughout the entire last round. And when she gets to the final hole on hole 18, she's looking at almost exactly a circle 2 putt, almost exactly 66 feet, I was going to say, or 20 meters. And the angle in which I saw it from, I wouldn't call it a wide open putt. I felt like there could have been some obstruction, but nonetheless, it doesn't matter. She made a very distinct effort to throw it up next to the basket to get it as close as possible to simply then tap it in. And at that point, if she was keeping any score in relation to her card, she was doing great. The problem was Paige Pierce came in a half hour or 45 minutes earlier with a scorching round that had completely erased the deficit between her and Sarah, and Paige actually had a 1-stroke lead as Sarah Hokum walked up to hole 18. Sarah Hokum throws her shot, like I said, to the 2-meter circle, or the 20-meter circle 2 location. Sarah throws it underneath the basket. Sarah taps in, and with really no, I'll say, fight or effort, Sarah goes down and loses by 1. I think I can even show it. Hold on.
Wow, this is some fancy high-level stuff, guys.
This is some fancy high-level. So this is the asset that Steve Dodge had given to me. So here's Paige on hole 18. Now, she had played I think she was there almost an hour earlier than...
Sounds about right.
...than Sarah. She gets up there, throws it up there, makes it, a pretty easy 3. Oh, it was getting a little choppy for a second. Now, this is Sarah coming up. Now, Sarah not knowing the scores. I know Sarah doesn't normally keep track of scores, but you have to. You have to... In a spot like this, you have to know what's going on.
What if you feel like you're dominating the rest of your card, though?
It doesn't matter. So we can pause it right here, and we can see exactly where she is. Here's the blue flag. She is exactly at circle's edge. It's a slightly obstructed putt in that she has to kind of throw a little hyzer on it to get past the tree that's just to the left of the basket on the video here that you're seeing. doesn't look like it's actually obstructing the basket, but it's just off to the left where you wouldn't want to hit it. It would make more sense to go off to the left. So what she does is she just lays it up.
And even this isn't an easy layup for her, as that kind of that little shorter backhand shot isn't her favorite. I guess is a good way to put it. But she's walking away at that point, assuming, yep, I've got to tap in and I'm going to win this. And I think rightfully so. She's thinking that. If she thinks she has she has the rest of the card, it's hard to think, oh yeah, Paige probably made up 7 strokes on me.
We've seen it before. She knows Paige as well as anybody on that field. Sarah shot a +2 on that round. So
okay, so let's go back.
So Val was at -2. Jessica Weiss was at -1. I think Kat shot a +12. So there's that. She knows those numbers are out there. This is on her, and if she wants to go through the entire round and never look at UDisc, that's fine. You walk up to that last hole, you check.
Sure.
Because if it bothers you to keep track of the score and think about that, I get that. Because you're not going to probably change your attacking of the course most of the way through the course. You could make an argument on the last 2 or 3 holes that you might want to look at the scores in case you need to start running at something. But you get up to hole 18, and I look. And for better or worse, and granted, I've never been in that position. I'll never be in that position, but I know what I would do. I would check the scores and just be like, okay, I should have this. Let me look in UDisc, or have someone else. If you don't want to do it, have a caddy turn to you and go, hey, you need to make this, or you're going to lose. You just need to work something out. It's bad
course management.
It's bad course management. It's bad event playing on her part. She has no one to, and I don't know if she's not blaming anybody. But she has no one to blame but herself for that, and that's something that she will have to address. Whether she wants to change the way she plays, if she doesn't, fine. If that's something that you look at and say, I'm willing to take that risk every time. Had she attacked that basket, hits and rolls, she ties with Val, assuming maybe she misses the putt. She takes an extra stroke, then she ties with Val for second.
All right, so I'm gonna touch on a few more points then. I'm not saying she shouldn't look on the last hole. The fact that she didn't, though, is not entirely crazy in this situation. It's
not crazy, it's just bad.
I'll say if the lead card is all within 2 or 3 strokes of each other going in, and then the second card is all within a stroke or 2 of that, and it's much tighter, there I think you absolutely for sure have to be looking, no doubt. In this case, and I'm gonna do some real quick, and I'm as big of a believer in Paige's skills as anyone, so I'm never gonna count out Paige, but. In this case, the previous best round on that course from 2 days ago, do you know what it was?
I'm going to guess like 1 down.
It was a 1 down.
Good guess.
It was, good job. It was a 1 down with a couple of evens, and Paige, who struggled, shot +4. Mm-hmm. But you're looking at a Holcomb at a +2, a Paige at a +4. You can say it doesn't matter, but it kind of does, because if somebody shoots a +4 one round, you're not thinking, yeah, they're probably going to turn that around by 10 or 12 the next round.
No, you don't know that.
No, of course you don't, but you're not assuming they're going to do that.
She should know that course. She should look at that course and look at her competitors and say, what is possible to shoot out here? Like, Paige had 4 birdies, and she had a 7 and a bunch of bogeys out there. She has to know, okay, as an FPO player, the best score someone can get out here is, let's just say, an 8 or a 9. The best score. You have to take that into account. If someone shoots better than that, fine. Then that's on you. But if you go out to Valley View, our little pitch and putt course, you shoot a 13 or a 14 and you think, I got this. Somebody comes off the card that you didn't expect with a 17. That's on you, and you laid up your last putt for whatever reason. It was a 60 or 70 footer. You lay it up. You think, I got this, whatever. And just because they didn't shoot that before, you know as well as I do, Valley View, 18 can be had.
Sure.
If you're looking at this course and you think 9 down can be had, it is not unreasonable to think someone can shoot a 5 down. And maybe she didn't think that. Maybe she literally thought the best an FPO player can shoot out here is 5 down. The odds of anyone doing it are slim. That's on her then. Again, for not knowing the course and not knowing your competitors as well as you should, especially someone who she knows as well as Paige. And again, I'm not the odds of her changing anything are so slim. The odds of her hitting that putt probably 1% if she's running at it. If she's doing a jump putt to throw it up there.
And I'd even further that and say,
but
the odds of her
ignorance is no excuse.
The odds of her hitting that putt with knowing that she needs to hit it for the tie, so the pressure is on.
But you got to give it.
Oh
that
no, I
chance.
know you have to give it a chance. But I would agree with you. That's not a high percentage shot for Sarah Hokum.
No, I know.
Unfortunately, just that medium to long range putt isn't. To be fair, we'd put, if you were to put money on it, you would put Paige at that putt.
Paige or Cat
Possibly at that putt from that distance before you'd put Sarah.
Of course.
Namely, just based on putting style.
Yeah.
So
Sarah never has a comeback putt.
Yeah.
Unless it rolls, because the way she putts is lofty and floppy. It goes up, it falls in the basket. She's very good at that. But you will never see her blow by a basket like you will Paige Pierce.
So, would things have changed much? Maybe, maybe not. Of course, woulda, coulda, shoulda. At best, she cans the 66-footer. Then they go into a playoff, and then anything can happen from there as you're starting over on hole number 1. But a very interesting turn of events, and I feel like it's almost too reminiscent of a few years ago when Val Jenkins did the same thing on 18 at the Memorial.
Yeah.
I think she was battling with Paige specifically, and she had gotten to a shot, and she basically just laid it up, and she really couldn't afford to do so on the final hole of the tournament, and she ended up losing, and she didn't know what the score was because she's someone that just doesn't keep track of the scores.
Correct, and that was before UDisc.
Sure.
It's different. There might have been PDGA live scoring at the time, but with today's technology, I think you have to be aware of that. And either you need to be aware of it before the hole starts on hole 18. Your caddy should tell you, hey, guess what? You're down by 1. Maybe you try a little harder on the drive. Maybe you push it.
Yeah, and then that becomes the next good question is when do they tell you? Before the drive or before the putt?
That's between you and your caddy. That is the mark of a good caddy, because if Sarah tells them, listen, if for some reason I'm close or someone's close to me or catching me, let me know.
Sure.
If Sarah tells the caddy, I don't ever want to know the score, even if I'm tied, that's on her.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to question her playing style if that's how she wants to do it. If she lost because of ignorance, that's one thing. If she lost because she decided to play her game no matter what happened, that's fine. I just think it's poor management of the course and your decision making. So I hope she either learns from it or she just moves on and says, that's how I'm going to play. Too bad.
Oh, and Chris Young,
does first place matter to her? Like versus second. Like does she say, hey, I don't want to risk taking third or fourth? That I need the money. Laying up is the smart thing for me to do. Or is first place so important? Because we've seen it with, take Macbeth or Ricky. If they have an obstructed putt like that, and it's going to be the decision between tying for first or taking 5th place. Let's say there's a huge tie at second. There's a cliff at the back of that. If they miss, they're taking 5th place. They're running that putt every time. Because to them, it's first or nothing. Does Sarah have that mentality or not? Or is Sarah more along the lines of, I want to take the highest position I can without falling? It's two different mentalities.
And then the questions out there, conversation, what if UDisc isn't there? That's a game changer. In this case, it was, so we can talk about it. If it's not, well, then it's a totally different conversation.
Exactly.
Because
you don't know that.
Then you have no idea. And yes, UDisc is instant. In fact,
UDisc beats us a lot.
Yeah, in fact, yes. UDisc actually, A scorekeeper will put that, Sarah has tapped in. That goes literally within like milliseconds. UDisc has actually built it into their application that for when being broadcast to us, or when we push it out through a broadcast, there's actually a built-in delay because we're delayed. And what would happen is you could be watching, somebody could throw an ace, and it would instantly turn to a 1, but it may not even gone in yet, depending on how quick the scorekeeper is, because we have a built-in delay of 10, 15, 20 seconds, whatever it might be. So UDisc has actually gotten so clever that they've built in a delay for us when using us. Yep. Which just shows how amazing UDisc is. But that happened in the first year in using them. Scores were updating before you were seeing it, and people were getting mad because it was spoiling the outcome of a particular shot. So there is an actual delay. But and that's another great question. Adam says, UDisc is instant, but is it official? No. UDisc is not official, just like PDGAlive.com is never official. The scorecard is always the official.
So
yeah.
That would bring up a whole different argument if Sarah saw that she was behind by 1, but really maybe she was tied, and she looked at UDisc. If that brings up a whole separate.
It certainly does, or the walking along leaderboard. Yep. If there's one in the group, a physical leaderboard that's on site, and then that has the incorrect scores. Again, it always needs to be in the back of their heads. As much as it's great to have it there, there is a slight chance that it's wrong, and that has to be taken into consideration as well.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there's always that. I would assume, especially with, if again being in that position, Paige coming off the course an hour ahead of her, had something been wrong or different, that it would have been corrected by then. Knowing the guys at UDisc, knowing the scorekeepers on the Pro Tour.
And if you guys remind us, maybe it's a conversation we could quickly rehash with a professional touring player in Paul Ulibarri. I'd kind of love to get his angle, large in part because I know Paul Ulibarri, he likes stats. There's a great debate going on as to who should be keeping the stats, how they should be kept, what they mean to UDisc, what they mean to disc golf, and then also knowing in that same realm how much of I feel like a sportsman and traditionalist someone like a Paul Ulibarri and an Nate Doss are. So getting their angle and perspective, I think, is very enlightening for everyone at home. And if you guys remind me later, we'll have to bring it up with him. I'm going to check in with Steve Dodge.
Yeah, Steve had told us about 9:45 or so. He said, so we'll see if he was watching something with his lady friend, some Netflix. So I don't know what he was watching.
Pretty Little Liars?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know. So yeah. Checking the board. Yes, social media is always unofficial and showing the stat. Jeff is saying that tournaments need to do a better job of showing scores of the top 10. What tournament? Not what tournament. In what way do you mean that? On Facebook?
Well, he looked like he said like the European Open. So I don't know if he
with
wants
their big leaderboard. Having one of those massive leaderboards at any given event is no small undertaking. The Pro Tour has one that it usually busts out on the last day or second to last day, but having one of those leaderboards is a massive, massive undertaking.
It's a lot of work.
It certainly is. And lots of conversation about wing sauce, hot wings. I don't know what you guys are talking about online. I guess I don't need to worry about it, though. So let's see. Oh, I've got an incoming message coming from Steve Dodge. Let's check he's going phone now. Sorry, trying to get ready. He says he'll be ready in 5 minutes.
Okay.
So, guess you get a little more of us until then. Yeah, that was certainly a big conversation piece. What someone had asked, well, did Sarah celebrate? I don't know that I wouldn't call her like jubilant. I think she was pretty self-contained. I think she assumed she won. Again, understandably. I think she knew or thought she had the card in check, and unfortunately, that wasn't enough. Yep. So,
yeah, I mean, we've learned you just can't count Paige Pierce out.
Certainly, and with all of that being said about Sarah, of course, huge props to Paige Pierce for battling that round the way she did. It wasn't like a flawless round by any means. she barely had a par. She only had she only had 3 pars in the first 16 holes. Starting birdie bogey, par, birdie, and then par bogey, birdie, par birdie. So yeah, a little bit of a roller coaster round for her. Looking at her score, seeing that she had 9 birdies, and then you compare that to second place Sarah Holcomb, who had 2, and Val Jenkins, who had 5, and Jessica Weiss had 3. So she had 9 birdies. The next 3 women only had about 10 combined.
And we know
impressive.
That it's kind of funny because Paige is a roller coaster, it seems like. Birdie, she throws more bogeys in there than a lot of those women do at times, but she has the ability to birdie to make up for it, and usually more birdies than bogeys. But if you look at Sarah, who was just so consistent through most of that tournament, not a lot of bogeys, not a lot of birdies. She played pretty good consistent golf. It just consistent isn't good enough. You have to play good golf. Not that it's not good golf. You have to play better golf, not just consistent golf. So,
well, it looks like we got DG Mike out on there. How was the DG Mike caddy corner received? Did we have a little asset or a little?
We did.
piece?
We showed a little interview with DG Mike. It went. There was really no feedback on it. So,
okay.
Well, he caddied for Kale. So.
Thought we'd get a little insights from DG Mike, so thanks DG Mike for the time. Chris Young, I do want to give a huge shout out. Jeff Spring and Chris Young over at the event were, as always, phenomenal, along with the whole Smugs crew and staff. Tonight's giveaway during our after show will in fact be this Green Mountain Disc Golf Club G-Star Thunderbird. So we're going to be giving this away. I'll just do that with my face the whole time. But this will be the giveaway tonight, and we'll be getting that out to you guys as well. So G-Star Thunderbird, thanks to the Green Mountain Disc Golf Club. Thank you,
that's great,
Chris, very much. And Jeff and the rest of the crew. Clearly, we're going to be in for a good show. Everything you said earlier about the courses and the play and the style of courses and the amenities, we're going to be in for a really good treat next year come Pro Worlds at the same location.
Yeah. I mean, everybody loves the course. You didn't hear anybody complain. Jeff has the course dialed in. I'd be curious to see if they're going to make any changes to the course for Pro Worlds as far as maybe pins or tees. I know they made some changes this year, throwing over some water now, and just a few compared to the last couple of years, but will they try to make the course harder for next year is my question. Because we saw the scores weren't crazy, but they were pretty deep under par. You know, you were shooting 8s through 12s for a lot of those MPO players, depending on the course and whatnot. But I'll be curious to see if anything has changed next year, if they try to kind of have this, well, we want to make it even tougher, or if they like what they have and they say, meh, I don't really care.
Well, I was going to just take a look real quickly at what was the lowest score at. Yeah, I'm not so good at this internet stuff sometimes. Look at what was ultimately ended up being the lowest score during that final round. Michael Joe with his 52. Kevin Jones had a 52. I guess U-Disc, that would have been easier to do there. Yeah. Okay. It will be interesting to see. I saw Jeff Spring out on the Facebooks today talking about how they're going to continue to take in feedback. There was talk about getting tees out there on some of the other teeing areas, which aren't going to necessarily concern our MPO field, but that property continues to evolve. They continue to make it more challenging, and they're taking the feedback from these players, and I think they're taking it very seriously. So it'll be interesting to see. Maybe Chris, I don't know if you're out on the board. I know you are. The question really, maybe are there any changes? He says both courses will get changes to make them more difficult. So
okay,
all right. So there's that.
I mean, everyone loves the courses as they are. I'm not saying they need to be changed. I was just curious about whether or not they would. Cool. I mean, I'm looking forward. I trust what they're going to do. They've proven that they're not going to make any. I guess they haven't proven, but the changes that they've made have all been good. They seem to know what they're doing. I'm not concerned that they're going to make stupid changes, make some stupid holes, or push something back beyond a good, well received change. So
yeah, so you
I'm
guys
fine.
heard it from Johnny. Don't do anything stupid.
Yeah, come on, guys. You heard it. Don't be dumb. Just talk to Terry. He'll tell you.
William Gilbert on the board is saying that hole 9 and hole 6 will probably be gone. I'd be curious to know if you have some insight or if that's just you guessing at that. Actually, I know hole 6 is going to be changed. Jeff said that during the broadcast. Now that I think about it, he said hole 6 in its current configuration will likely not exist next year. That's the one that had the elevated basket to it. It was the first elevated basket. Everybody and their mom and their mom's mom birdied it. It's 225 feet straight out. There was a little bit of a wall behind it.
Yeah.
I believe hole 6, though, Jeff had said during the first round of him joining me on that broadcast that hole in its configuration now will likely be changed. So, and then Chris is saying hole 9 on Brewster will go bye-bye. So,
well, we'll figure it out. We'll see it next year, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right, very cool. So, yes, Pro World Championships taking place right after Labor Day weekend next year.
All right, where's Dodge?
I don't know. Dodge, you there? Anyone? Maybe you could try him on the Can you try him on the Skypes?
It says he's away right now, so. But hopefully he said ready in 5 minutes. That was 8 minutes ago. We'll see what's going on.
Good question. I'll send him a message. It played as hole 6 played as a 2.25 average for the weekend. That's
it's a little lower than you probably want. I wouldn't guess you'd want anything under like a 2.5 or 2.6 if you can help it. All right, we are going to bring in Steve Dodge.
Ooh, that sounds exciting.
It's really not.
Okay. All right. Hopefully he can rotate everything and then pause any kind of action he's got going on. Very loud.
Actually, hold on.
If he could just jump into a subway, it might be a little quieter.
Hold on 1 second. He probably doesn't hear us. Hold on 1 second. There is a small setting I forgot to enable for Skype to work properly. So
we all good to go?
We will be in 1 second. So let's do this. He's going to get that. And he's going to get that.
All right. This is what
this is what we do. We mess things up. Usually pretty good. It won't let me change it.
Okay. What if you take
Steve, are you hearing us? Oh, perfect. All right, good. You can hear us. We can see you.
All right. Then we'll bring you on and officially welcome you to the show.
All right. Hi, Steve Dodge. How you doing?
Hey there, guys. I'm doing great.
Good.
Good. We just got finished talking about Green Mountain, the Green Mountain Championships. I was saying that I always forget if it's Green Mountain Challenge or Championship, so I just leave off the last word. So we just finished talking about the Green Mountain. Let's talk a little bit about the finals. We've got all the players now. If you go to udisc.com/players, you can kind of see what's going on. What are you excited for?
The round one is always exciting because people. Am I gonna get a feedback because I don't have my headphones?
You might.
No, probably not. Unless you're.
Are you getting a feedback?
No, as long as you have your YouTube section all muted, you should be good to go. And you're just working off Skype, you should be fine.
Terry, you're on about a 45-second delay as I'm watching this on YouTube.
Yeah, stop watching it on YouTube and you'll be fine.
Okay. I can't wait for you guys to see the comment I just typed.
Oh, good.
So But seriously, the brackets are very, very exciting to me. It's designed to be much like the NCAA tournament, where you have round one, two, three, and four, and the farther you have to basically you have to do well to advance. And in round one, it's the guys who are 26th to 50th in tour points, and the top 8 guys advance. And I remember Dana Vici sitting on that chair last year, right on the bubble, watching the guys come in, and it was very exciting for him, as players would just consistently do a little bit worse than him, and he stayed right in. So that happens in rounds 1 and 2. And then after round 2, 8 guys advance into the semifinals, where you have the 4 foursomes, and only 1 guy out of those foursomes advances. And we actually have the brackets up. If you go to dgpt.com and go to the Tour Championship, you can click on the brackets inside that page. And I've got one of them pulled up right now, and like the semifinals is the first group is Ricky Wysocki and Greg Barsby and 2 qualifiers, and the last group is Simon Lizotte, James Conrad, and 2 qualifiers. And when I look at these cards, it's just it's going to be very fun to watch these guys, knowing they have to win that card to move on, and that's as exciting as it gets.
So if I'm reading this correctly, someone like Paul Macbeth, Ricky Wysocki, the 8 you just mentioned, actually, they technically don't even need to show up until Saturday?
Correct.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Hopefully Macbeth's back is better by then, and he quits quitting tournaments. Is that what you're saying?
We'll give him as long as he needs up to Saturday.
I'm just kidding. We talked about that at length, that he was truly injured, and everybody should not worry about it. So let's also, in that same exact tone, let's talk. All of these 50 people are already getting some kind of money, or no?
No, not at all. They have to show up.
Okay. So if you show up and then you withdraw, do you still get money?
I guess as long as, if it's depends if it's an 888 or a 999, I suppose.
Okay. But in theory, I'm saying the 50 people that have qualified right now are in the money as long as they show up.
100%. And there's no entry fee.
Wow.
The guy's 26 to 50th, and all the girls, top 15 girls, everybody's getting paid, but
we were doing so well.
Thursday. Hello?
Okay,
Yep.
yeah, you
froze
froze
up for
for
a quick
minute.
second.
You said all the top 50 are getting paid, and then you cut out.
That makes sense.
Well, that's what matters, right?
So the guys who lose in round 1 on Thursday are going to be getting $400. My goal there is to make it worth their while to come into town and give us an opportunity to watch them have a tremendous round, or to crash and burn, whichever it is. But I want everybody who's in the top 50 to have an opportunity to come compete in this event. They qualified for this event. They earned these spots, and they absolutely should have an opportunity to compete. And so the way to do that is no entry fee and a minimum of $400 payout. If they make the cut into the quarterfinals, they get $600. They make the cut into the semifinals, they've got a cool $1,000 guaranteed just for showing up.
And then the winner of the whole shebang on the men's side takes home a check for 5 fingers.
$5.
Five.
No, $5,000.
I think that's actually 4 fingers.
It depends where you hold it. Yes.
Okay.
that's
So
back.
$5,000.
Yeah, 5 feet.
Wow.
Now, did the tour wrapped up? Was there any sort of tour finale bonus? I don't know if there was.
No, yeah, there is a tour. We have 2 champions on the men's side and 2 champions on the women's side. Great question. The tour points champion on the men's side was Ricky Wysocki, and he will earn $5,000, and he doesn't even have to show up to the finals to earn that. He will earn that at the finals, or if he's not there, right after the finals. And then on the women's side is Paige Pierce, and she earned $1,500 for her efforts. And so those are the 2017 Tour Points champions. So when we make the trading cards, those two people are already guaranteed to have special trading cards.
Awesome.
And how does the money differ? Somebody was just asking that. How does the money differ this year versus last year for how like the bonus structures or the year-end money and all that stuff? How is it different or the same?
Basically, there's about twice as much added cash to the Tour Championship this year over last year. One thing that did change, I've got a very fast little spider on my computer. One thing that did change is that last year we didn't have a check for the Tour Points champion, and Ricky actually won the Tour Points last year, but then was eliminated in the semifinals, I believe, and it felt kind of weird having the guy that won the whole thing walk away with a relatively small check. So we wanted to correct that, and I think actually next year I'm planning on correcting it even more and having maybe the top 3 in Tour Points getting money, and then having the Tour Championship as well. I actually have, I got the proof of the trophies that I'd love to pull up and show you guys. There's probably a very cool way to do this.
Yeah, there's a if you go to tools and you go to share screen, that would be one way you could maybe do it, or you could just turn your screen around for us. I don't know which one I trust of you.
Now, last year we saw, and I don't always want to keep bringing up last year. Last year I think we saw did we see a jacket?
Yes.
And we saw a ring. And
yes.
Are we?
I know that. My apologies, Johnny.
No,
I know that the ring is gone, and we are switching over to these beautiful trophies. And I don't know about the dude jacket, to be honest. That's Chris has not let me know that there will be a jacket, so I don't know if there will or there will not. But I do have pictures of what I think are the very cool trophies, and I'll just do it this way, Terry. You can trust me like that. How's that?
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Move it over a little bit. There you go. Okay. And those are like shot glasses then? Is that what those are going to be? Shot glass
Tiny
size?
little.
Yes, they are shot glasses, and they will probably come with. Yeah, no, those, I don't know how tall those are. 12 14 inches.
Okay.
They're pretty darn significant.
Because?
Well, significant size, he's saying.
Okay.
Because of the size.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Just
Size
simply the
matters,
size.
Steve. Size matters.
And these ones are not as big, but they are also significant. I don't know if Terry can read that.
Rookie of the Year and TD of the Year.
Oops. Yes, that's not a. There's got to be a better system for this.
There's a lot of better systems, but so we can see those. Those look nice.
I'm surprised Skype does this poorly on technology.
Yes, it's definitely Skype's.
Definitely not user based. So speaking of users, it sounds like there was some, for the most part, some great feedback regarding your latest microphone setup. Well, not tonight. Tonight excluded, of course.
We got mixed reviews.
Okay.
It's a little bit funny getting a new mic and utilizing it. And I think the very first comment is, this guy needs a new mic. So,
Well, here's what I'll say, and here's what I noticed. I didn't notice your new mic until the 4th round. The 4th round, it sounded crystal clear. It sounded phenomenal. The other couple rounds, I didn't notice any difference.
Okay. Well,
so whatever you did on the 4th round, it sounded spectacular.
Which is what I think he tried on the 3rd round, but I'm wondering if it went as well as we thought it was on the 3rd round. But what we thought he did on the 3rd round is what he also did on the 4th. However, the 3rd round's execution may not have gone like I thought it did for him. So either way, the 4th round may be your final setup.
and you guys are talking about my word choice, right? You're talking about my actual commentary.
No, I'm talking about the quality of the sound. I don't listen to the words that actually come out of your mouth. I can just tell by by how they sound. So it's a lot of, and that was a big complaint. A lot of people were, we would get Terry's audio coming out of a really nice Shure mic running through the cameras, and then yours would sound very hollow or kind of echoey just because of how you were doing it, where you were. So I'm glad that we've got that sorted out after 9 events, and we'll have it knocked out for the finals.
Like AOL, we've got it dialed in. I like that, buddy.
And I'm going to go ahead and say that we started the season with no commentary, and just the whole concept of putting the women's footage in was a stretch.
Yep.
And it was close. It was nip and tuck. And then in Utah, we went ahead and added in some commentary. I don't know if we did it at every event. And then at Ledgestone, we were not able to do it because the courses were 30 minutes apart, and it really is that tight. Mm-hmm. And now at Idlewild, Vibram, and GMC, we have gotten it in with commentary, and now we're getting to the point where the commentary, maybe not the word choice and maybe not the usefulness of my words, but at least the words are sounding more crystal clear. So if I ever do come up with good words, that we wouldn't be able to hear them.
What's the feedback you've been getting on your commentary?
I think people have said it's absolutely the best commentary they've ever seen. #sad.
Okay. So what were your takeaways for GMC? Of course, it's going to be the host of the World Championships next year. People are already sad that there won't be a GMC there next year because there's a Worlds taking place. But what were some of your takeaways from the GMC this year after being there for 2 consecutive years on the Pro Tour?
Smuggler's Notch, as you guys have probably said, I haven't heard anything you've said up until you brought me on, but as you guys are well aware, Smuggler's Notch is an amazing venue. They've got it's a full-time resort with staff that put on events for a career, and they did a phenomenal job. I also want to shout out to Jim Castillo, who set up the festival this year. And we've been getting better and better at the festival, and I think that this was the best it's ever looked. And I'm looking forward to doing a very similar thing, if not even bigger and better, at the finals. So if you live anywhere near Jacksonville, please come down and check out what Jim does with the festival at the finals. But so having our festival inside of their festival was really, really fun. We got to listen to some amazing music. Obviously, Nate's beer that he released, Overstable, I think it was a tremendous hit. It was fun seeing the line of people going and buying that beer. They've built a really, really cool thing with that. What is that called? Collaboration. Mm-hmm. And the courses continue to be very, very good. I'll go ahead and just say this. According to the players, after each event, we do a questionnaire with the players and with you two to say, what did you guys think of this event? What did you guys think of these courses? And the courses were rated the highest of any courses on tour. These were the players' favorite courses, period.
I wonder how much of that has to do with the weekend, because you see a lot of these players really enjoying the not just the course, but the whole establishment, the whole place, the environment, the amenities. I wonder how much kind of leaks into how you rate those courses.
Yeah, is anybody getting a little extra bump because the whole experience?
If you can truly separate that.
I do actually ask 2 questions. How would you rate the event, and how would you rate the courses? And there are times when those 2 diverge, but in general, Johnny, you're correct. I think that how the event goes definitely affects your opinion of the courses.
Okay.
Sorry, someone was asking that they were saying that this weekend was the most beautiful aesthetically, and I was just about to type back, yeah, September in Vermont. I'm not sure you could really go wrong.
The only thing that came close, I thought, was Utah with the beautiful mountain background. I mean, we've seen on the Pro Tour every different type of environment. It's short of going out to I don't know, the desert,
which we weren't too far from in Arizona.
Yeah, in Arizona, but little more grass there than most desert. But I think other than that, we've seen every type of environment that the Pro Tour can offer: wooded, open, long, short. You have it all. So
bugs, muggy, no bugs, no muggy,
rainy,
plenty of rain.
Cutting out rounds. The Pro Tour has run the gamut this year, Steve.
So
Thank you very much. We do our best. I want to go ahead and interject real quick because Jenny actually said to me when I came home, she said, how was Vermont? And I said, it is gorgeous up there. That, it's just one of the most beautiful places on earth. And she literally said to me, she said, Steve, you say that every time you come back.
Yeah.
So when I came back from Waco, I said the exact same thing. When I came back from Utah, Idlewild, Ledgetown, it's every place we go is the most gorgeous place in the world. But Vermont was definitely very special, and I would put Utah up there as well as far as aesthetically pleasing.
Yep.
Maple Hill, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So one of the questions, and where we certainly can't dip too far, we got to wrap up this year, and I know you don't have all the details for next year, but naturally some people are asking, is the Pro Tour coming to my town next year, or how close is it getting to me? Is there a schedule? How many events? Can you give us a little bit of a hint or a preview in terms of just any of those types of questions without getting too specific?
Absolutely. The Pro Tour is coming to your hometown, and we will be there. Please make sure to go and watch when we're there.
Yeah, okay. Online, if not.
Everybody watching is in Atlanta, right?
I'm not sure. Well, we'll check our demographics.
So we're coming to Atlanta?
Going to Atlanta, the ATL?
Oh, oddly enough, that's one place we're not going yet.
Oh, okay.
But
roughly, so we had 9 stops plus a finale this year. More stops or less next year? Let's start there. Give us an easy one.
Let me do a quick count. And are we gonna? Where are we going?
And we're not holding you to anything. This is very preliminary. We just want to give everyone a little insider tease here for being a smashy as to what we might see on the Pro Tour next year.
I will say this: we will have at least the same number of events.
Okay.
And so we will have at least 9 events, and we could have as many as 11 plus the finals.
What?
So we'll have 10 to 12 events.
What's your happy number? Like, do you have one? Like, do you think, like, I want this to be 12 events, 4 rounds of, like, or 3 rounds of 4 events and then take a break or something? Do you have a set number in your head? 52? I mean, you just want to go year round?
I think it's
wrecked him.
job of establishing the concept of a season. I think the trading cards help us establish the concept of a season. I think it's important to have an off season just as well. I think October is pushing it as far as the end of the season goes. That gives the players November, December, January off. With the Aussie Open coming in, maybe they don't even get all of January off anymore. But I think 3 months off is about as short as I'd want to make it. I think 4 months would be better. But an 8-month season seems good. I would like to see, in my ideal world, I'd love to see going to Europe for a month or a month and a half, and having a pro tour before and after that, and then figuring out where the majors go, working around that. These are all things that you have to work with the PDGA, you have to work with the World Tour, and with the Pro Tour. In an ideal world, I could see getting up to 13 or 14 events. With a finals, so 14 or 15 events total. And I really love the concept of relegation that they do in soccer. I think it would be really fun because not only is the competition amongst the players at the events, whether we want to admit it or not, the competition is among the events as well. And I know that the players really liked the GMC courses, and they rated them higher than Maple Hill. And that makes me say, okay, we're going to step up Maple Hill a little bit and try to make the courses even better. And that's just, we are competitive humans. That's why we're in this sport. So I would love to see getting to a point where you're happy with the number of events, and then you take 1, maybe 2 events that don't quite make the cut, and you bring in 2 events who have been working their butts off to get in there. In general, I like having the same stops over and over and over. But if an event falls off, I think that the concept of relegation is an interesting idea too for events.
That's interesting. For those of you that don't know what relegation is, it's basically what Steve described. Your bottom tier gets cut off. Your bottom number of events or whatever, bottom of anything gets cut and something new comes in, because that's what they do for a lot of soccer, the actual teams that happens with. And I think it's not that I forget what the name of their tour is over there. So
FIFA 2018.
Yes, it's you play on your Xbox.
Something like that. Any major changes? I don't mean venue. Do you see, and you touched on it a little bit about maybe how you might, the qualifiers and the finals and whatnot in terms of next year, but anything else major that we could see other than what you trying to get a major sponsor or 10?
Well, actually, I had a great conversation with Sean Jack, the VP of Partnerships, tonight, and we are mapping out. Well, actually, we have mapped out the partnerships for next year, and now the goal is to go and fill those spots. And actually, I'll put a little pitch out. If anybody knows has the marketing purse strings in their hands, or knows somebody that does at a corporation or a business that could benefit from having tens to hundreds of thousands of eyeballs see their product, please reach out to us. My email, Steven@dgpt.com, or Sean, SEAN, @dgpt.com. Sean is actually in charge of developing partnerships, and I assist him as much as I can. But if you know of anybody that might be interested, or you have some say at a business, please give us a call. We'd love to utilize your connections to help grow the sport and help grow your businesses. But thanks for letting me have that little pitch. The couple of changes that I see happening that are significant in my mind are I want to limit the Pro Tour events to some degree to 3 days. I think that 3 days, it has proven that it is enough days. 3 days is a good number for our live coverage. It gives us an opportunity to have some featured cards on day one, have our moving day, and conclude the event. It doesn't wear down the players as much. So we will be encouraging tournament directors to move to 3 days. Now, granted, there are some events that are historically for the Memorial, Ledgestone, the Vibram, and those events we're not going to push very hard. But if those events are willing to change to 3, we'd appreciate it. And I'll go ahead and say out loud that the Vibram will be changing to 3.
Wow.
Because I think it's an important thing to create consistency and ease the burden on the players. There's a long season now, and these guys are getting worn out. And if we made all these events 4 days, that's an extra 10 or 12 days of competitive play where their bodies don't get a chance to recuperate. I think it's important that we don't wear them out.
3 days, one of those days being cut, it will not affect the ice cream social?
The ice cream social will always exist.
All right, go on.
Yeah, we cut out the long drive contest, but we kept the ice cream social. And I'll go ahead and say next year the long drive contest will be back.
Okay. We just have to have our priorities in line. That's all.
Believe me, we have them. If you guys were willing to wait a minute, I'd go get my ice cream right now.
I bet. So that's a little known fact that Steve Dodge is. Is there anyone that consumes? Well, there's people that consume more ice cream than you, but no one in disc golf that I know consumes more ice cream than yourself.
I know that Jeremy Colling is going to try to battle me on that. But I think slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah, you're in it for the long haul. And what's your favorite flavor?
Ice cream?
Yeah, ice cream's your favorite flavor, ice cream? Yeah, okay. All right. One of the questions, and I already answered it on your behalf, I hope you don't mind me speaking for you, was will we see any other divisions, whether it's MPM or any other divisions, ever with a focus on the Pro Tour? And I, just as quickly as you did, said no, right?
Well, I'm gonna caveat that real quick. MPO, FPO is where we're focused, and I think it's important that we do focus there. We're also focused on live coverage at as many events as possible. If there's not a cell signal, obviously we might have to work around that. But those are the two things. Those are like the two legs of our stool. You need two legs on your stool, right, Johnny?
That's right, at least two. Two more than two would be good. I'm just saying. I mean,
yeah, I'm not a fan of where your analogy is going at all. But go on. So you need at least two, but we don't want three. Well, I don't want three. I mean, we have enough challenges. I hate to say we underserve. There's enough opportunities to cover even more people in MPO and FPO, and to do what you're already trying to do to service those two premier divisions, open divisions as they are. That I don't want to say we don't need to water down, but I like the focus of the two premier divisions.
Yeah.
No, we don't need a third leg. Nobody wants a third wheel.
Don't get me wrong. I think to say never is a very tough word.
Right.
If in 10 years the Pro Tour exploded and is huge and it made financial sense to bring in another division, then yes. I mean, you don't never always. Those are words that you try to avoid as a business person.
I actually was having a conversation with an 8-year-old yesterday about the number of muscles in your tongue, and it turns out you have 8. And she said, "Does everybody have 8?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, probably not." But it was just like, I understand your question, but you're not asking it right. But anyway, I could see, and it's funny because 10 years was exactly my window. I could see going in 10 years and getting to the point where we have a 50 and up division on the Pro Tour. And
hey, that'll be us by then.
Senior circuit. Well, and you'll have to battle me because in 10 years, I will also be 50 plus.
Yeah, you will.
Plus.
Again.
So, that is a concept that has occurred to me. It's not something I'm worrying about right now. We're focused on the men and the women and showcasing them live.
Okay, well, so to clarify again out there, the question or the comment followed up was, right now there's some Pro Tour events that have Masters divisions and have all these other divisions offered, and I guess I would reply and say, well, the event is offering those divisions, not necessarily the Disc Golf Pro Tour, and the Pro Tour specifically is concerned right now with the FPO and the MPO, and I think there seems to be a consensus that continue to develop the resources for those divisions should be our primary effort, or focus. That's maybe the better word.
Absolutely. And if we were going to be only worried about efficiency and making things work in an ideal format, we would actually only focus on MPO. When you look at the number of views that Jomez or anybody gets when they do men's coverage versus women's,
sure,
it's about a 5-to-1 on the number of views. However, it is absolutely critical that we develop the women's side of the game. Right now, 7% of the members of the PDGA are women. I've talked to the staff, I've talked to the board, and everybody agrees there is tremendous opportunity for growth in disc golf and in competitive disc golf on the women's side of the game. One thing we did was adjust the women's tees at Vibram, and I got universal positive feedback on that. Some of the women who couldn't throw as far as as opposed to them having to throw 2 long distance drives on a hole. So that type of thing, in addition to continuing to improve the women's coverage that we currently offer. Basically, in 2016, we didn't do any. 2017, we started offering some the women's coverage spliced in, and then throughout the year, we developed the commentary over top of that, all spliced into the live broadcast. I look forward to continuing that, to improve that offering. And so right now we're doing MPO and FPO. And FPO is sort of a push for the long term. We need to grow the women's side of the game. Valerie Jenkins even mentioned at the Vibram Open how excited she was that we're starting to get people to come out in the morning rounds and following the women's cards. 100 to 150 people at Idlewild and Vibram, and it was great to see.
It is, and you hit the nail right on the head. we're still seeing this massive discrepancy between the men's and the women's viewership and the coverage.
I don't think that's going to change as far as I think we can improve the FPO side and we can improve everything. I don't think you're going to see that gap close completely. I think just the nature of sports tends to be more of a male-centric thing for most sports, but I'd love to see the FPO stuff get 20%, 30, 40%. That would be my goal in a lifetime.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, just like you said, how much that gap actually closes. We're going to do everything we can to get it there, but it's been quite the uphill battle for sure all of this time. And you said it yourself, Steve, and that's something I notice all the time with any of the coverage we put out. It gets substantially more viewership and action on the men's side, and you can put together the top 4 women in the world, and they're barely going to get a fraction of what the men. I don't know. It's too bad. It's too bad that it goes down that way, and all we can do is keep putting it out and see what happens from there.
Well, we actually, number one, you're probably right, Johnny. It won't ever equal. Just in general, you look at NBA and WNBA. It's just the way it's the nature of the beast. But we actually haven't really given the women their fair share yet. We're still giving them short shrift. Is that an expression?
Yeah.
We're doing live coverage of the men and just splicing in the women. That's not really giving them an opportunity to get known. So it's a first step, but it's just the first one. We're still not giving them as much due as they rightfully as they deserve. So as with everything, you have a finite amount of resources, and you've got to figure out what the best way to allocate them is for the short term and for the long term. And it's a tricky wicket sometimes.
Yeah. All right, Steve, you got anything else you want to share with us here tonight? No, I mean, I had nowhere else to go with that but to agree. It really is, because it's a subject we have throughout the years now have kind of even beat to death, and it is what it is. I mean, I think we've proven to the world, both together as Smashbox, that we're very serious about women's coverage and being a platform for women's disc golf in lots of different ways, from coverage to the symposium to whatever we can. And then me personally, I think most, if not all of our female disc golfers will know that I very much have committed time and resources, even in situations where I know the viewership's not going to be there, but I still find it incredibly important to go cover Rocky Mountain Women's and the Daisy Chains and women's only events and being at the Pittsburgh and covering the women's.
Typical East Coast liberal elite.
I mean, clearly we continue to prove that we're all for it. It's just a matter of will it or will it not eventually all catch up with the masses, and to what degree. So that when you said what you said, I said, yeah, we're just going to all keep trying and hope that it gets better. So it's not from a lack of effort.
Definitely not.
All right, buddy. Anything else tonight?
So would you guys agree that October, the 3 weeks in October, USDGC, the Hall of Fame, the NT finale, and the Pro Tour finale, that 3 back-to-back weekends, I suspect, is going to be the most exciting 17 days in disc golf history.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing the closing of the entire season. We're seeing the closing, short of having Worlds there. I can't think. I mean, yeah, that will be probably hopefully the pinnacle of our sport that we've seen so far.
Yeah. I personally am very, very excited for that. And Terry, just for you, while you were blathering on, I was thinking of trying to come up with a clever joke for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll leave you with this, and then the next time I'm on, I'll tell you the answer.
Okay.
So what would you call a princess who keeps saying the same joke over and over and over?
Repeatsel? Like Rapunzel? Repeatsel?
Rapunzel.
Rapunzel.
All right. Close.
Yep.
I was close. All right. Well,
And I'll tell you the answer next time on Smashbox.
all right. Stick with your day job, Steve. We will. You don't have one anymore. Stick with the Pro Tour, and
Get a new mic. All right. Have a good night.
All right, Steve. Thanks. Have a
Thank you
wonderful
for joining
night.
us.
Thank you, guys. Watch.
See you, buddy. All right. Steve Dodge from the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And he's right this time. It's a pretty exciting, as he said, I guess, when you think about it that way, 17 days.
Yeah. I mean, we are seeing the culmination of the majors, the Pro Tour, the NT, and technically the World Tour as well at USDGC. So all four of our tours, so to speak, I mean, if you consider the major a tour, in 1 month. I kind of like it. I really like October being like the championship month. It kind of goes along with baseball, where we see that baseball is, October and baseball in October and stuff like that. Having this, I think, is awesome. I think it's a perfect time too. I don't necessarily love the location. Just, we saw last year that, we could have issues with weather and whatnot, but I'm not too concerned about that.
But you could say that everywhere, any time of year.
Agreed.
Clearly, we shouldn't be in Florida. There could be hurricanes, and
well, that's
clearly. Yeah, I mean, we can continue to say weather could be bad just about anywhere at any time.
I agree. I love it personally. I think it's going to be phenomenal. I think it's going to be exciting. If a particular person gets hot, they could easily take down two of the three. And I don't know how. We've never seen anything like it. Let's put it that way.
No, it will be an interesting, like you said, culmination of everything that's taken place this year, and then we'll see the year officially wrap up. From there, you move into some B tiers, maybe a couple of medium to smaller size events, but you're likely not going to have the star-studded cast at any of the events once those are all complete. You're going to have a superstar occasionally, or you'll have a van or a handful of people roll into town that could make your A tier or your B tier still really solid. But we're, once they close up in Jacksonville, that's going to be the end of the really big, really, really stacked events that we're going to see this year. So we'll talk a little bit about the fantasy disc golf. I know that was a hot topic with Macbeth withdrawing and how that's all kind of unfolded, not just with Macbeth specifically, but then some of the other fantasy disc golf conversation that'll take place regarding the USDGC and some other events moving forward. We'll talk a little bit about those in the after show, as we usually do. The conversation asked, and Steve's not here, but the question was asked really as to if Steve is making money on the Disc Golf Pro Tour as the tour director, and I don't know every detail. I know Steve pretty well, but Steve has very much treated this like a business. He's got investors in the Pro Tour, and like any small or large business you start, rarely are you turning any form of profit when you're getting a business started, and I very much envision his long-term business plan to be the same. So I can tell you, Steve's not living large, rolling around in, he wasn't about to go take a skinny dip into $100 bills. I know there's a visual as he was ending the podcast with his mediocre signal with us. So the first thing, if Steve gets rich, you'll know, is he'd get a haircut. No, maybe he wouldn't. Okay. But it's like any other business. He's got investors. He's got people to answer to. And I think that's all part of a long-range goal. So if you think he's getting rich, I'll politely say he's not. All right. Ha, jinx.
Oh, you Coke.
Yeah, you do. All right, I was trying to read on. I think we can wrap things up. I've reached out to a couple of people. At one point, I had a quick conversation with Paul Ulibarri. I'm not sure if he's going to still be around. We think that he might be. He may be our official after-show guest, which would be great. Ready? If you are, is what I'll write him. He may or may not be available still. And I guess that's where I'll leave it. We may or may not have a surprise guest outside of Ulibarri, but I don't even want to mention anyone because I don't want to get everybody all worked up and excited about it. But I think we will have some after-show stuff. Again, we're going to be giving away the Green Mountain Disc Golf Club G-Star Thunderbird. Thanks to Chris and Jeff and the Green Mountain Disc Golf Club, we'll be able to give this away. And I think we've got another surprise that we'll be able to share with you guys as well that we could talk about in the after show. I think you're going to like it. I know some of you are. Is that a good way to put that?
It is.
I don't have much else. I think we could call this before we move into the after show. In the after show, we're going to talk about a bunch of other random things, some disc golf related, some things probably not. And we'll also have a giveaway for all of our Patreon supporters. So if you want to become a Patreon supporter, as always, patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. Of course, with 2 X's as usual. So I'm going to call it.
I'm good with that.
It's going to be Johnny V and myself. Thank you guys for joining us. This was podcast 161. Obviously, we'd like to thank Steve Dodge. We'd like to thank Steve Dodge for giving us the opportunities to provide live disc golf broadcast to you guys for 9 of the events on the tour. And of course, we look forward to the final event taking place in Jacksonville in just about a month, where we'll be bringing that to you live as well for 4 days. So we'll see you guys in the after show, podcast 161. We'll see you there, and step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the Smashbox TV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello and welcome back to Smashbox TV's podcast 161 after show. Oh gosh, you're gonna lead in with the Brewers. Matthew Q, thank you first of all for being a super chat supporter here. Matthew, we appreciate it. If you want us to see or read your comment almost instantly, I will gladly cut off Johnny V so I can read a comment from anyone that provides us with a super chat. You can do that on the YouTube. We appreciate it.
Is that a new level? If you'd like to interrupt Johnny V, just send a super chat.
If you want him to switch topics, just a $10 super chat is all that it takes. That's a great idea.
Johnny will cut off whatever he's saying.
End it immediately.
He'll get off his soapbox.
Oh, that would be awesome. That is a great idea. The instant shut up.
Or yeah, we could do that for either of us. If someone thinks we're going on too long, just for $5, just put the name, just Terry shut up,
20.
Or Johnny shut up, and then it's like, oh, sorry.
We're gonna be in trouble when somebody gives 10 to shut you up and then immediately 10 to shut me up, and it's just silence.
Well, we just have to pick a new topic then.
All right, but thank you, Matthew Q. And as you were saying, the Brewers,
they won tonight again. We're still 3.5 games behind the Cubs.
The Cubs.
But we are making a run at a really good run at a wild card. I don't think we're going to get the division unless for some reason the Cubs go on a tanking streak, but I don't see
they've got a good opportunity to make up ground. The Cubs, and I'm genuinely mad about this. The Cubs are again returning to here in Milwaukee this weekend, and I leave for Tennessee on Wednesday morning, tomorrow morning. So by the time you're listening to this, in fact, for most of you, I'm already in Tennessee, but yeah, the Cubs are coming up here to Milwaukee, or Wrigley North, as sometimes it's referred to. So if they want a good shot at making a move, here's a direct opportunity.
Take 2 out of 3 or whatever it is. So hopefully, we'll see. I'm more concerned about the wild card at this point.
That's cute.
Hey, set your goals realistic. I'd love to win the division, but we lost our number 1 pitcher a couple weeks ago, and it's going to be tough. So I'm excited. I'm excited for baseball, which doesn't, as a Cubs fan, doesn't happen very often. Same with the Brewers fans. We don't. It's been a few years. I understand the.
Oh, it looks like the Cubs won again tonight as well. Then
they
2-1.
Both teams won. So welcome to the after show, as Terry was saying. This is where we get a little bit more loose. We talk about whatever the crap we want.
Yeah, whatever. We say naughty words like crap and stuff.
I almost dropped an F-bomb there, but I didn't. I chose
Wow.
Not to. I chose not to.
Okay.
Say whatever the F we want. So.
And we also more actively interact with the live chat on YouTube. So if you're ever wondering where do they talk about or get these random stupid ideas or questions or thoughts or comments, they're usually coming in off the YouTube. Quick side note, is it really warm down here? Is there something I don't know about here in the basement studios?
I don't think so. We might not have the air conditioning on right now because it was only supposed to be like a high of like 70 or 72 today here. So.
All right. Amp Style asked a legitimate question, but accidentally used incorrectly spelled disc and used a different word. Have you ever considered running a SmashBox disc golf event? Half the proceeds go to you and half to a charity. That's a good idea.
We've talked about running SmashBox events, hosting them and showing them live, doing things like that. It's tough. Because if there's not a draw as far as players, it's a little more difficult to get people to watch, and then you're not really making much money charity-wise. I mean, you can do fundraisers during the round, CTPs and things like that, but that's something I would envision, assuming Smashbox continues to grow and do well, maybe in a couple of years, another year or two. I'd love to be able to finally kind of lean on some of the pros that we've helped give exposure to and talked with and that are friends of ours and just kind of say, hey guys, the tour is running through the Midwest on this weekend. What do you say we get people in and we make a big to-do about it? So that's something I would like to maybe do in a couple of years.
Well, we also have, I'm sorry, I was going to check in quickly on the Facebook to see if there was stuff. One other thing I wanted to do today, I actually, as usual, I get so many of my show ideas from that, what do I call it? The Disc Golf Suds and Duds podcast, News and Brews, Murder Mike and Carl. I give them a hard time all the time, usually because they don't know what they're talking about, but they know that, I think. And I went out there and I took a page out of their playbook today and I posted on my Twitter account, which I don't actively use nearly as much as I should. And I had said, are there any topics that should be talked about sometime during our podcast tonight? And I feel like it only makes sense to actually now review that because I got some legitimate responses. Someone had said to talk about Paul's injury and over-speculate if the end of the McBeast. So we kind of already talked about that in the regular show. I won't go on any further about that.
Well, I'll say if this is the end of McBeast, no. I don't think so. I think he's going to be a top 5 finisher for the next 5 to 8 years. And we have not seen the end of him.
No. All right, the next one. The massively successful fundraising tourney this past Sunday in Houston for Harvey relief. Mm-hmm. Maybe get a Griff on Facebook. I don't know what a Griff is.
No, get at Griff.
Get at Griff.
Griff is the name of the guy who ran the charity event.
Oh, okay.
Innova did. Apparently, there was a big charity event, and it went very well down in Houston area. On top of that, Innova released a Houston relief disc. Mm-hmm. And gave all proceeds, not just profit, but all of it. They donated the discs.
Is that the definition of proceed?
Well, proceed, I think, is that the profit? Is that the same thing?
I don't know.
Basically,
are those words interchangeable?
They gave all the revenue. They donated the discs, and everything sold went to them. So Innova more or less gave them whatever, $20,000, $50,000 worth of stuff total, if you count the value of the discs. Because I think there was a specific number of discs run.
According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it says the total amount brought in. The net amount received, or another definition, the net amount received.
So it would be the proceeds.
After deduction of any discount or charges.
And there were no charges. So I guess technically I'm right.
Okay.
But not that I knew. It was a word I threw out there. So anyway, so congratulations. And mad props to Innova for that. It would be nice to see it's nice to see our manufacturers do stuff like that. Not just, we see them promote all sorts of smaller, we see them promote people, but we also see them push other smaller, usually more local charities. And it's really nice to see, to get our name out there for something like this. And I know it's not necessarily a big, hey, look at us, but they should be recognized for that. And congratulations to Innova. We talk about a lot of companies, and we don't always necessarily mention Innova, and I think they did a fantastic thing here.
It was. Also coming in, this is at Lynn65680 says, should TDs get paid, and if Macbeth's idea is possible at this stage in our sport? That was a massive topic that actually we totally forgot about. We'll bring that back full circle a little later. That's a solid question though. William Durant says women's tourney in Tennessee, and should Michael Joe play Masters in a couple of years? Well, that kind of combines a few of those things that we've already talked about. Michael Joe's 38. By the time he turns 40, the year in which he turns 40, he'll be eligible for Masters. And if he wants to play there, I absolutely wholeheartedly think he should, if that's where he wants to play. And yes, we've already talked about the U.S. Women's coming up this weekend. One thing I forgot to mention was Steve Dodge, that was on the tip of my tongue, is the Festival of Flying Discs will be set up in Tennessee at the U.S. Women's event this weekend. So some people I know we talked about it at great length.
Women's event.
Yeah, it's, I want to say 165 or 175 total women. Super excited. Tim Barr has been gracious. Prodigy is your title sponsor, and lots of courses. And I'm super excited to be there and to have a little part in recording it. So Luke had said, a top 10 list from you and Johnny V of the greatest of all time men and women. I'd have to put a few minutes of effort into that. But that would that be an easy? That'd be an easy list. Top 10 players, ambassadors, advocates, Hall of Famers. What top 10? Top 10 players is what I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm. And in a specific order?
Yeah, that would actually take some even greater thought. But here's maybe a follow-up to that. Without doing it, how many of our top 10 men would be the same between you and I? If we both sat down, you made a list and I made a list, how many do you think we'd match on for being in that top 10? Do you think we'd have a lot of variance? Your top 10 versus my top 10?
Oh, top 10.
Yeah, man. If you listed your top 10 players and I listed my top 10, how much variance would we have between the two of us?
I bet we.
And how much more right would my list be?
Yours would probably be a little more right. I bet you we hit at least 6 of the same.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, knowing our history.
Here's a quick
and
question.
Our longevity in the sport.
Yeah. To you, is Barry a top 5 player of all time?
Top 5 now?
I'm talking top 5.
Absolutely.
Okay, so for you, top 5 is probably Kenny, number 1 without a doubt, right now.
Yeah.
Then probably Macbeth.
It already starts getting tougher.
4 world championships in a row. I got to put him number 2.
Okay.
Winner, chicken dinner. You almost. This is a tough one, but I might put Doss number 3. His consistency and the time period he's done this in. I mean, it'd be different if after 2011 he dropped off and he was still playing every once in a while and he took top 20 or top 10. He's still consistently in the top 5. He just hasn't been winning.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I don't know. That's the hard part. Like, could you throw
you have to put Dave Felberg in that conversation.
I was about to say Felberg. I mean,
he is the most winningest player among continents and in terms of traveling. One of the most diverse winners of around the world. And sure, his competition might have been a little lesser at some random event in Finland. I get it, but
I don't know. I kind of have a hard time. I think he's for sure a top 10 player.
I'll tell him you said that. It should be a good conversation between you and him.
I don't know. Oh, God. I don't know if I would put him top 5 or maybe 5th. That's tough because he's kind of in that period between Kenny and Macbeth. He's in the kind of that Doss category, but he won 1 world championship.
Mm-hmm.
And he played a lot, and he won a lot, and he won a lot of NTs. I guess, yeah.
He's won way more than Nate Doss has.
Correct, I agree. Yeah, I guess you'd have to put Felberg at least 4 or 5. So,
and then just to kick it full old school, bring it full circle,
and Barry then
Dave Greenwell.
No. Greenwell's been around forever. He's a legend of our game. But if you're talking, he's one of those guys. He's going to be a top 10 guy, but I don't think he cracks top 5 anymore. Because you said yourself, Barry's in there.
Okay.
So is Wysocki in there? He's a 2-time world champion. He's been pretty dominant over the last couple of years. Would he be 5th? Or, I mean, is he
sheer longevity? No.
Correct. I think
Barry edges, top 10.
Barry
of course.
edges him out. I think still.
Yeah.
I mean, he's clearly a better player. He has more skills than Barry ever had. But you're still looking at the longevity of the sport. Barry is still winning Masters, majors. I think Barry still does edge him out. So, you know, if Ricky's doing this in 4 or 5 more years, I think he pushes.
Yeah.
I think he pushes Felberg out.
He very well could.
Because
sure.
I put Barry over Felberg. Barry's won a crap ton of events. He's done it longer. We've seen Felberg's best days are behind him. And I don't necessarily, I mean, Barry's are too, but Barry's still a 10-26 rated player. I think Felberg's down to 10-13 or something
sure.
like that. And Felberg just doesn't seem to have that push anymore. He doesn't have the ability to beat out players like he used to. Barry, I think, still has that. So I put Barry up there. It's tough.
Yeah, it could be. It could be really, as someone said, this could almost be a segment in itself. It certainly could on any given day.
Yeah, we'll be done with this.
Someone else said, here's one. How stupid, I like where this is going.
Yeah.
How stupid are the people who ask questions like, quote, why don't we just get Nike or Budweiser to give us our pros millions of dollars?
They're very stupid.
Correct.
Or it depends. I'll say this. It depends how long they've been in the sport. If it's someone that's been in the sport for 4, 5, 6, 7 years, then I say, yeah, that's a pretty ignorant thing to say. If it's somebody that's coming in the first year or two and say, hey guys, why don't you guys go get
super
Nike?
Green and excited, yeah,
way more, then I say, yeah, you're wet behind the ears yet. Here is why a company doesn't necessarily need to have anything to do with disc golf.
All right. Honestly, if possible, inside the personal lives of Johnny V and Terry, how did you make disc golf life work? Is this your primary job? And family ?
I'll go first real quick. This is not my primary job. It's kind of become my dream job.
Anything with me is your dream. Your dreams are pretty pathetic if I'm included in them.
Yes. You're like a weight on my feet. I'm trying to swim. I know I've said this before. When I was 19, 20, I always thought if things go the way I want, by the time I'm a master's age, hopefully I'm doing this for a living. Well, I'll be a master next year, and there's no chance of it.
Unless Steve gives us a 4,000% raise.
Yeah. So, I'm my full-time job is I'm an IT manager. I've got a wife and 2 kids. That's where my insurance comes from. This is not coming anywhere near paying what that does. I'm very fortunate that I have the leniency to do what I do, whether sometimes they know it or not. And this has become kind of a dream job. Since we've been doing the podcast and the broadcasts, I've gotten way more interested in a lot of, I'm always a techie person. I'm an IT manager, but like the audio and the video and all this stuff, doing this, I get excited about. I look at B&H Photo like 3 times a week just to surf it, where I used to be looking at, Tom's Hardware, it was called, and looking at like, oh, look at the new computer chips coming out. Now I'm like, look at these cool cameras and the new broadcast software, and it's kind of shifted. So my dream job would be able to do a podcast 3 to 4 times a week, a broadcast on the weekends, and have it supported by either sponsors or Patreon or anything like that. I think that's for me what has kind of become a dream job. Not so much playing anymore.
Yeah. So I have a similar story in that, I guess not too similar. I left my corporate job in 2001 or 3 or somewhere around then. It was a while ago. Shortly after college, Johnny V and I went to college together. I worked at Kohl's Corporate, where I was doing IT, computer type stuff, softer skilled stuff, and up and quit to do disc golf. I didn't know what it was going to be. I thought that would be course design, leagues, tournaments, youth groups, working with anything related to disc golf. I was and or still do. A little bit of sales, all that stuff. And then from there, eventually around 2010 is when I picked up shortly before that, Disc Golf Planet had kind of come along, and they were starting to do a little bit of video stuff. I had known the guys who were starting that. I was brought in to assist in that capacity. And right around then, 2010 also, is when I picked up my first ever video camera to start doing a little bit of vlogging stuff. I read a book about doing social media and vlog stuff. And then from there, that's when the Disc Golf Guy official name was kind of created. And then just continue to do video stuff. And that's gone from, very much gone from, originally it was going to be a weekly kind of update. I guess like a video podcast, almost kind of just a quick little 5 to 10 minute vlog. And then that just continued to sprawl out into a lot of different things, eventually from highlights of events to then actual hole-by-hole coverage with commentary, then without. And then we eventually got into doing ultimately the live broadcasting. So it is ultimately my full-time job. And if there's anything related to disc golf, I've probably dabbled in it either lightly or extensively at one time or another. I still have a huge, I don't want to say collection. I guess collection is one word, but I have I've acquired a lot of discs. I also worked with every manufacturer just about in terms of running tournaments and then selling products. So I've always carried a lot of things. So I've also done that. And I have a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old and a wife that somehow puts up with me being gone more often than not. And and I got a lot of other amazing support from a lot of people. And so disc golf's full time, I guess, is the answer to that.
I'm going to argue with SD Discer here real quick.
Uh-oh.
The players today are better than the players 20 years ago. The skill set is better. The players throw further. They putt further. Every top pro has a backhand and a forehand now. Back in the day, they didn't have that. They didn't need it. But the equipment matters. The equipment helps them out now. But Avery was really one of the first true players to have a phenomenal backhand and forehand. First that I can recall. A lot of them had it. All of them can. Kenny can throw a forehand if he needs to, but Kenny's not throwing a forehand 400 feet like Avery could. Avery was like one of those kind of first guys that's like, I can crush a disc any way I want. So SD Discer, I'm going to disagree with you on the board to say that the skill set 20 years ago is as good as the skill set now. I disagree. Sorry.
Yeah, we had a lot of great people that maybe dominated.
Yeah.
And perform well, but it was among that player base. And as you're saying, I think everyone's just like everyone in the NFL is that much faster, that much stronger, and you can't. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. We'll leave it at that.
But Bart Starr might be the greatest Packer quarterback of all time, but Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback than Bart Starr.
Exactly.
It's just the way it works, skills wise. So. That's why I'm arguing with you, SD Discer. But it's a conversation I'd love to have off camera sometime.
So I think that answers you, Adam. To make a long story short, though, I do not have the cushion that Johnny does in terms of having the consistency of a full-time position. So it's fair to say I grind a little differently. I don't know, harder, if that's the right word.
I've seen you grind more ways than I care to think about in our years together.
Yeah. Yes, I'm not quite in the financial position that Johnny and his family are.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Alexi Lawless says, how much did Josh Anthon pay you and John for, they spelled your name right.
Nice.
You and John for all the image rehab you gifted him over the summer on your show? Hashtag, by the way, he killed a guy, or did you forget?
Oh, are we bringing this up? Okay.
I just wanted to hit it head on because I feel like it's worth responding because I don't want to shy away from it.
Let me start by saying, I'm sure he's joking. We don't get paid anything by any players ever.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, to whether to rehab, to have them on a show, anything.
Nor do we pay players.
Nor do we pay players. We don't pay, Coling or Sexton or Macbeth to come on the show. They come on because they enjoy, because they like us, and we give them good exposure. So now you can address the Josh thing.
What I can say to that, namely, is when the news broke, we talked about it. When Josh was available to join us, we talked to him. We talked. I feel like we gave him legitimate questions that we asked. Some would say they were too hard. Some would say they're not hard enough. Whatever. You can argue that all day long. That's fine. I feel like we gave him actually, in fact, a little bit more in-your-face questions than maybe we even have to other players. But we have a certain relationship and friendship with Josh that I felt like it enabled us to actually go even deeper and harder on him than maybe if we didn't have a relationship with him. So I don't think anyone could fairly accuse us of not holding his feet to the fire a little bit. However, with all that said, Josh has done what was given to him by the court system and by all legal standards and practical purposes. At that point, I can no longer hold it against him or continue to thrive on it. I can no longer continue to dwell on it. That's the word I was looking for. There's not anything else I can really do about it. You can love them or not love them. That's entirely up to you. You can love or like or dislike or agree or disagree with the situation. You can disagree with the court and the judicial system, all you would like. But from what he has done and what he has provided to us and what he has done for disc golf and what he has and the person he's continuing to show me that he is, that's what I can judge him on moving forward. We could argue all day long about anyone's past transgressions in or out of the public eye and how long they can be held against people. Josh, in his case, had a situation that went down the way it did. I feel like he faced the legal system. He did everything he needed to do within the legal system. Actually, I think was relieved early from jail or wherever he was due to I don't want to say good behavior, due to his progress. And at that point, I don't know how much more you want me to dwell on it as an individual. What do you want me to say? Josh won a tournament this weekend. Did you guys know he was in jail? It's just not going to happen. And no good logical reporter or quasi-reporter or journalist or blogger of any kind should do that. What's the point? What are we going to do?
Yeah.
In 10 years, could we have a recap story about where he once was and what he's become and what he's done in 10 years for the good or the bad? Absolutely. But if you think somebody's going to dwell on it, you're going to have to do that amongst your buddies is how I would say that, because it's not going to do you any good here. So
I'm going to take a step back on the last question. As far as when I said Avery, someone screaming at me, I'm sure, as I'm screaming at myself in my head, Scott Stokely was the first to go forehand, backhand as far as he could.
As effectively.
As effectively as he could. But you didn't see it very often back then. But
sure.
But Scott was that guy who was able to do that. So I'm
Good
sure
call.
someone was yelling. And it
99. 1999-ish time frame. 97, 98, 99 for Scott Stokely, for sure.
Exactly.
Who was there another super chatter?
Tired of crap.
Tired of crap. We love you, buddy.
Crap. We love you for sure. More than everybody else. Shh,
yeah.
Don't tell anybody.
And I'll just say, to wrap up that final comment, if you don't like him, meaning Josh, if you don't like him or what happened or again, the judicial system or any of that, that's your prerogative. I'm okay with you not liking it. But if you think that we're going to make an issue of it, it's just not practical. And truly, I don't see any of the positivity that can come from that at this point. Now, if he runs into legal problems next week, different story. Then we have a totally different conversation to be had. But if it's not habitual and this isn't an ongoing issue, and by all intents and purposes, every person that's interacted with him at all in the last year has nothing but positive things to say about genuine interactions with him, I don't know what more you want of the guy. And I would say that of anyone. I don't know what more you would want of him. Okay? All right. I'm going to move off of that finally to, well, actually, I think I covered all the questions. So those are all the questions that came in via Twitter. There should be a little chime in, like, via Twitter. And then, I don't know. We would have this special little thing. So maybe that's something I'll try to do to reach out to everyone. If you've got topics, that's another way to reach us, and we can discuss them. Totally unrelated. This couldn't be any more unrelated. I'm going to switch briefly to, I had a conversation with a mutual, old high school, pre-high school, what, junior high? Junior high friend today. You're not going to guess who it is. I mean, you could. No, you won't.
Male?
No.
Female. Any clue?
I could give you lots of clues. That would all be too easy.
Aaron Haight.
That's so random.
It
is.
Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. Anyway, her phone number, the last four digits of her phone numbers backwards, equals a mile. 5,280. The last four digits of her phone number were 0825.
Okay, that doesn't help me.
That doesn't help. No,
not at all. Not at all.
All right. So I had a conversation with a friend of ours that we knew from way back in the day, Brenda Trotz. Well, sorry, married name Brenda Leopold.
Okay. Well, that's not that far off because I'm friends with her on Facebook and everything. I kind of expected someone a little bit more random.
Okay.
So
anyway, this is so unrelated. If you don't. This is business related in the sense that it's not even at all disc golf, really.
She runs some sort of business.
Correct. She just started a business, and it's in Appleton, where Johnny V and I grew up, which is about 2 hours north of Milwaukee. And the business is called World Headquarters, and essentially she's taken it's at a doctor's park, so it's like a big doctor's office. And they are individually remodeling and renovating every single room within there, and they're turning them all into office spaces.
And then they rent out the office spaces.
And then you more or less rent out the office spaces.
Like a Regis.
Sure, I've never heard of one of those.
Really?
That's
like a huge brand. If you go to I think it's REGIS. More or less, there's two major ones in the United States. We looked at one in Chicago for our office originally, where they have these giant office parks where you just rent space from them. Either it's a room, you usually get like an internet connection, a shared receptionist usually, and there'll be like a shared coffee maker and fridge and stuff like that, and then you do that.
Okay, well, again, along those lines, I knew her idea wasn't original, but no, but it's a really good idea. And they were talking about members, having members, as they're referring to them, is the people that would share it. And there's like a 5-hour a month plan versus like a 15-hour a month plan. I just thought it was a really cool idea. What immediately I watched them put out a little video, and here's where it kind of ties all in, is I immediately thought, how cool would that be if they had one of these rooms built out that was specifically for podcasting? Because I feel like anyone in that area, maybe you live within 10 or 20 or 40 miles or whatever, and you think, well, I don't know how to do a podcast, or maybe I do, but I don't have a good spot for it, and I don't want to do it at Applebee's, and I'm not going to do it at Brickyard.
Yeah, basically a mini audio studio where someone can sit with, a computer or a mixer. You could even have one of those Zooms like that. Just say, hey, we've got 2 microphones, we've got a Zoom, a mixing board. And
plug in your computer, load up Audacity or whatever.
And record right to it, and then be done. That'd be a great idea.
I thought that was specifically, I mean, they're going to have rooms that are good for video conferencing, and they're going to have all these different rooms. And I just thought that would be a really cool way to...
Jeremiah Morass says, that sounds like when comic book stores have podcast rooms they rent out. I've never seen that.
I've never been in a comic.
Appleton is a hotbed of podcasts.
I think he's being funny.
I hope you're I not hope, but I think.
Or maybe they really do. I wouldn't know.
I don't know either.
It's funny because since we're not,
we
don't go there ever, but we grew up there. Anyway, it's just an idea because I felt like that would be a barrier that they could overcome for people. It's set up. Come in, plug in your computer. I mean, there's some other technical components to it.
I'll say problem. The problem with that is that's great if you want a high quality audio studio. But we all know a podcast can literally be done with your lapel mic on your phone.
For sure.
And your phone, that's it. That's all you really truly need to gain an audience.
Yeah, and I think that's how one of the Kardashians got started. It was just
I don't know what you're talking about.
Either do I. Anyway, it was this couldn't be any more random, I realized, but I thought it was cool. And obviously by the response on the board, it sounds like there's a lot of people that have talked about services or businesses in your area that offer this kind of thing. And I just want to say I wish her the best of luck. I told her it would be kind of cool to have these networking events, and I think there's a lot of potential for something like that. And I explained to her, we just talked about, I don't punch a clock or work 9 to 5, but the few times I am home during a week or in a month, I may have editing to do. And sometimes I leave my house. Everybody can be asleep. It could be 9 o'clock, the kids, everybody's asleep. But I will leave my house to go to an Applebee's or a TGI Fridays, not because I need the half-price apps, but because I just want a different scenery.
Yeah, it's the same reason people pretty much go to any coffee shop, a Starbucks, and just sit on their computer and work, either writing their next Great American Manuscript or something dumb that they do. So,
anyway, I wish her the best of luck, and maybe there'll be a tie somehow in the big picture. Who knows? But wish her the best. All right, earthquakes in Mexico. I saw. I fully admit I was out of the loop. I saw some post about. Was it today? Am I ignorant?
I think early this morning, or maybe late last night, there was a 7.1 or a 5.7. It was a big earthquake. It was felt in Los Angeles. I know that. So,
all right. Well, I hope everybody's safe.
Yeah.
Protests in St. Louis. I saw something on the news. We usually don't get that political.
I didn't see anything.
Yeah, I saw it on the news last night. I think it was in response to a verdict that came down regarding something.
I did hear.
Seems like the most common time to start protests are right after those verdicts come down, one way or another.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, you can count on it. Maybe you can count on it.
I'm at a loss for words. No offense, but how stupid that was.
There's a no-win situation, is there not?
That's like saying, I'm more likely to get a bruise on my arm after someone hits me. It's really weird.
No, because protests can happen anytime.
Sure, but of course there's protests after a controversial ruling. I mean, it just makes...
That doesn't have to be.
I'm done. No,
I'm just saying.
I can't.
All right. Well, no, this does not make for good conversation because we're just going to end it there. That's like saying the most common time to celebrate victory is after the tournament.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, whoever that was. You nailed it.
Unless you didn't win the tournament and you thought you did. Right? So, see, doesn't always get you.
Sometimes.
Yes, Jeff, you should be protesting this conversation. I agree. Disc Golf Nerd got the DD Trooper bag solid for $40. That sounds good. Great point, Terry. Thank you. I don't know what my point was. It's not that great. I'm just waiting to see one of those tornadoes veer towards. Yeah, it's crazy, the weather, obviously. That's been taking place everywhere. Is there not another?
It's
hurricane is brewing. Is that?
Well, no, I'm sure there's one brewing, but there's one right now going through some of the Caribbean islands on its way to Puerto Rico.
Okay, maybe that's what
Hurricane Maria, I think, is what
correct.
It is.
I think that's what I had saw as well.
So yeah, but man, good luck for them.
Yeah,
it's just unfortunate.
I mean, okay, so where's the safest place in the U.S. to live?
I've thought about this.
Okay,
because you have, if I had to take, I think there's two. Maybe you could argue somewhere like Arizona area. The worst thing you get out there is unbearable heat.
Okay.
Like 120 degree heat, because you don't usually get tornadoes. You don't get any hurricanes. But
earthquakes?
Or no real earthquakes. It's not near a fault line. You could argue something up like in the Portland area. same thing. I don't believe the fault line heads all the way up there, but I'm not.
Nothing with the ocean though that can affect you.
It doesn't seem like that particular area gets hit with that stuff. I mean, you could always argue that. I mean, even the upper Midwest, we get hit with some tornadoes.
Yep.
Like, we're not quite, the heart of the nation that gets hit, like Kansas and things like that, where we get those nasty storms. But we do see the occasional tornado here. So, and we have brutal winters at times. Not always, but we can. So, I would think like an Arizona is probably the safest place if you're not worried about heat. I think that's
okay. Well, the board currently, Ryan says dust storms in Arizona, but the board overall seems to be going with.
Are dust storms going to kill you?
The board overall seems to be saying like the Arizona Nevada area. Seems to be the. That seems to be the. Well, I don't know if it's a consensus when just 3 people say it, but
good enough for Smashbox.
Von Breezy asks, isn't North Korea pretty safe? Depends on who you are, maybe. All right, Nevada. Iowa seems pretty safe. I don't know. Iowa, isn't that where Twister took place?
Yeah, Iowa can get big tornadoes.
Helen Hunt could come through my area, though. No? All right. Just an idea. However, Iowa is a super volcano. I forgot about that, Michael. Thank you. Good call. You definitely don't want to rule that super volcano out.
And that's why I was thinking Portland, because we saw Mount St. Helens up in that general area 100 years ago, it feels like, but forever ago. So I don't know. I didn't know. That's why my first thought was Arizona, Nevada area, if you're looking for just safety.
Okay, Twister was in Oklahoma. I've never seen the entire movie. I wouldn't go to Iowa because I wouldn't want to be like driving through cornfields and then all of a sudden just like run into a baseball fence or a baseball diamond out of
Ghosts.
nowhere. Yeah, okay.
I mean, baseball ghosts in Iowa. Yeah. You need to worry about them. When was it? When Moonlight Jackson comes wandering out of the cornfield, I'm probably going to swerve off the road.
Yes. All right. Let's go back. There was some then further replies when I had made mention that we talked about a particular subject on the podcast on Twitter, and someone said, sick, only 3 more hours to wade through that. And someone else said, gave up on the podcast so fast.
Oh, well.
All right. Well, that's all right. Podcast isn't for everybody.
That's right.
Nothing on the West Coast is safe. New topic. Are you a cat or dog person? Wow, we're really getting into it tonight.
Neither. I don't want any. I would be more of a bird person.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to pick, I tend to be allergic to most cats and dogs. We had a dog growing up, never had a cat. The most exposure I had to a cat was your hairy fur beast.
Oh,
so frankly, and we've had this discussion about dogs. Most dogs bother me because it seems like a lot of them are not trained to the extent that I like.
Correct. I agree.
My daughter is deathly afraid of most animals. So we go over to friend's house and they have animals, and I understand this, that I'm going to their house and they should not have to deal with me and my issues with my family. But when the dog comes running and jumping up on you, that bothers me. Like, keep your damn dog down. You know, if it wants to come up and sniff, I get it. But the minute it gets on its hind legs and starts pushing on me, I have no use for that animal at that point. Like, get off of me. So that's just my take on it. I don't mind animals, but we have a fish now. We have a beta fish, and that's pretty great, if you ask me.
I myself, I'm a big fan of cats.
I know.
That's about it. Justin Green says my pet turtle is pretty legit. I believe that. Favorite putter plastic.
For those people out there
more like Champion.
making fun of me about being a bird person, birds are pretty awesome. If you've never had one, they make great pets. They're a little messy. I mean, because they can sometimes crap on you, but it's not too much different than a dog taking a leak in your house or a cat or throwing up a hairball that you need to clean up.
I would love the
So-
the maintenance level of a bird.
No, birds, you need to clean their cage.
Well, but I'm just saying, like,
put paper
you don't
underneath
have to maintain them and adhere to them every day.
Correct. You're right. You don't have to walk them.
Yeah.
Cat, I mean, it's not much different than a cat, other than cats, they tend to shed more and you have to clean up. Birds we had lovebirds and cockatiels, and my aunt had a cockatoo, which is those big ones that talk. They're pretty awesome. They've got some pretty cool personalities, some of them, but in general, I get it. People are like, ha ha ha, birds. So I'll take a bird, man.
Okay.
Or T-bird. I'll take a T-bird all day.
All right. Bird person seems like Creep
bird-
City. Only person worse than a cat lady is full of a bird cage people. I'm gonna agree with you.
Hey, growing up, we had a I bet you it was a cage almost the size of this desk. So let's say it's probably a 4-foot cage. It had a bunch of animals, had a bunch of birds in it. And my parents used to breed some birds, but my aunt and uncle had a whole basement filled with cages and different birds that they would breed and sell and play with, and there were pets and stuff. And I'm not gonna lie, it is creepy. It's a little weird, but if you just have a single or 2 birds, that's awesome. My wife had a rabbit when I met her, a house-trained rabbit. So I thought that was strange. I went out on a date with a girl who had a rat. And I remember calling her once, and she was talking to me like, oh, you want to say hi to my rat? We were like in our 20s. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to talk to your rat over the phone. I'm an adult.
Doesn't it have, just put it on speakerphone?
Yeah. It was one of those things you're like, well, okay, that we never had a second date.
I was just going to say, but what happened on the 40th date?
We're happily married.
Yeah. All right. Sounds like a creepy guy. Horse and cow people. JVD is not helping the SPCA anytime soon. All right. There was a legitimate question in here somewhere that I was going to get back to.
I know you said something. I interrupted you.
My cats. No, I was going to skip past all those. Pet rocks. There you go. Get a pet turkey and keep it in the house. That would be creepy. Massive bird cages. I don't recall where there was. I thought there was a legitimate question in there.
Favorite putter plastic. You were asking him something about G-Star or something?
Just Champion, or it said Champion, I think, or it said cheaper, or base plastic. Yeah, we both putt with either like a KC or a like a baseline plastic of sorts. Yep. I've never ever, and that goes for any name brand, I've never putted with any kind of the shiny Star or equivalent or Z or anything like that. None of those. It's always been one of the lesser expensive plastics. It's just always felt way better. What's the next tourney? This weekend I'm covering the United States women's event. I know Prodigy's going to have lead card. I think I'm going to work on a few different other concepts down there, so we'll see. Just hold up for the surprise on that. And then after that, I think USDGC, we never really touched on it, and I'm sure it would probably be a conversation come next week or so, but we have no, someone asked earlier, we have no affiliation with the United States Disc Golf Championships. We have no one has reached out to us about being live in any capacity. So
that's not to say I'm not going to go live during that event.
Johnny is going to. What you should do is set up like print out a USDGC map and then just place little Lego men all over it as to when they're throwing. And then recreate it. I think that would be awesome. And then we do commentary on it.
Oh, my kid has a bunch of Legos upstairs. We could make 18 fairways with people in them.
That would be perfect to do. All right. Challenger, Tony says. Robert McCall prefers fancier plastic putters. He says they hold their flight characteristics longer. They hold them longer as in longevity of the actual disc, or they hold them longer when he's throwing them, like literally throwing them. Like yeah, well, either way, he's wrong. No, I'm just kidding. He might be right. I just don't like the feel. I don't know why, because I know I throw all of those plastic types in drivers on any given day, but I don't like the feel of them when I'm putting. And maybe it's a thing from dare I say, in the early days, you only had basically one style of plastic.
And you got used to it.
You got used to the consistency or whatever, but I cannot fathom putting with a Fusion Judge or a Champion AVR or a Z Challenger.
No.
Just none of that sounds at all. All of those might be awesome discs in another plastic, but in the, we'll say, candy-like plastic, it just never interested me.
Yep.
I'd be okay maybe throwing a Biofusion Judge as an approach disc. I'd even throw it in that case, but in terms of actual putting, just no.
I'm with you.
Longevity, yeah, and the discs do probably last longer, and that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. That I don't mind if I have to switch out.
Your putter twice a year.
Yeah, or once a year, or once every 2 years, depending on what you like. Yeah,
depending on how much you throw and use it.
That doesn't bother me at all. Colt XT Colts are your favorite. What should I do if I snapped one of my 2 McPro AVRs in the cold? Buy 2 new ones or keep one and beat in another?
Buy 2 from Terry.
Yep, and then keep one and no. It depends on how you if you use them interchangeably, I'd buy 2 brand new ones. Yeah. If you're like, oh, I don't care, I could close my eyes and pick one or the other out of my bag and I'll putt with it, then I think you should buy 2 and start fresh. If you feel like, well, I kind of go with this one when I need a hair more stability, well, then I think you should just replace the one and, start with that one being fresh and the other one continues to get beat. That's where my 2 putters are at right now. One is slightly more beat than the other. I actually use them for slightly different putts if needed. Where do I submit question for the $5 Patreon reward?
You can, I believe there's I don't even recall, to be honest. There's a $5 level that I believe lets you ask a question to any of our pros at any given time. And if we have someone on there, and if you're a $5 patron, just send me a message on Patreon, or it should pop up on my phone, or message me. Oh, there we go. Or message me on Facebook or something if we're Facebook buddies. So we'll figure something out. So,
and a little quick update. I did reach out also to Paige Pierce tonight, as I know I'll see her in a couple days, and obviously she's performed quite well. I reached out to her. She wrote me back saying that this a little bit earlier, saying that she was going to bed a little earlier and that she wasn't going to be able to join us, but she'd like to catch up with us sometime very soon, and sent me a really goofy picture. I believed her when she said she was going to bed, but she sent me a picture of her relaxing. So we'll certainly be having her on the show sometime soon. Maybe she was watching the show with that face. I don't know.
That wouldn't surprise me. Do you want to delve into the question of who do you think is the most intelligent disc golfer, I guess, or pro? I think was the question that was asked. I don't know if they meant touring pro or what, but who's the most intelligent golfer you know?
I think we're still under contract to say Steve Dodge.
I don't. I know he does golf, and he's a pretty
You don't
good golfer.
consider him smart.
I don't consider him that too. Look at that haircut. I don't consider him a golfer these days. He's more of a promoter.
Yeah.
Like that. I mean, you could throw UC in there. You could throw. I mean, there's a lot of people in there that are making the sport better. But of our golfers, like, who's the one that you think you could sit down with and have a really, truly intelligent conversation with? I mean,
well,
a lot of them.
I was going to say, I think the really smart ones, I wouldn't want to have an intelligent conversation because they're too smart. And Disc Golf Nerd says Elaine King seems smart. She
very much is
very smart.
I think Sexton's pretty smart.
He pretends to be, at least.
Yeah, I mean, at least he's got me fooled. A little bit I've talked to him. And again, this isn't us saying that any other pros are dumb. I'm just talking, who do I like? If you looked at them and you said, these guys all need to take the SATs, who's scoring the best?
Yeah, that is a good question.
We should make them do that.
Yeah, it should be the
battle sat.
Yeah, exactly. Wow.
Go ahead and offend someone, Terry.
I know. This is tough.
You have to deal with them more than I do, so.
I mean, I can think of specifics. Like what I was going to say though is like anything nature related.
Madison.
I'm going to Madison Walker.
I completely
She
agree
can
with you.
name like 3 million species of birds and every damn fish and
Yep.
trees and everything like that. Like that is obviously her field of study and her interest level. So for those types of questions, it's her. Who's going to do the best calculus?
Or who's the best? Who's the most well-read on tour?
Oh, well-read. That's another.
That's
story.
another question. Like,
yeah,
that's like who's what pro? And these would be great questions. We should like pin down like a germ or a Uli with like who's the pro that you're most likely gonna like walk into their hotel room or wherever they're staying and they're gonna be sitting there reading a book. Like a book.
I think Sexton reads a lot of books. I think is what he's at least claimed. He also watches a lot of YouTube.
Yeah, well, most of his books have crayon marks in them.
That's a good Southern. Yeah, gosh.
I mean, I guess obviously there's all sorts of.
Yeah, there's a lot of different categories, but I think you put it best when you said, "Who would you put the money on for the SATs?"
Yeah,
like
I think that's a
that's
good generic.
Yeah, exactly. A well-rounded question. Gosh. And then from there, here's what I'm going to do. I guess I'll go to the World Championships. I was going to go to the Memorial. I'm going to go to the World Championships, and I'm going to go down the list in no particular order and look at some of our...
I bet you KJ Nibel would win. Those people overseas,
they're very
smart.
They're very smart. They take smarts.
They take smarts seriously.
Real smart over there. It would be a really tough.
I bet you Will Shoestrick would do very well on an SAT.
Okay.
He seems like a relatively book smart kind of guy.
Wow, you guys are killing me here looking at this list. Well, I know AJ Risley is recently is a semi-recent college grad for what that's worth. There's a lot of other
anyone can
grads.
graduate college these days.
Exactly. I mean, I did way back in the day.
Wasn't he like an art major or something?
No, like some
video or
communicative sciences or. I think
there's nothing better than insulting someone's degree.
Oh yeah, especially when it's in something like what we do.
Exactly.
Yeah, man, I came from the school of hard knocks life. Like I learned how to edit on my own.
Oh,
poorly.
KJ's a landscaper. Oh, then he's clearly not smart. No. Disc Golf Pro Tour said he's a landscaper. Obviously not that means anything as far as their smarts go.
Oh my gosh, this is a tough question. So next to rating, we should just have IQ.
Who's the dumbest? Let's answer that one.
I don't even know. I know who I'd say about that, but no, I don't even know who I'd say here. Gosh.
Yeah, it's a tough question. Like I'd love to sit them all down with the SAT and be like, "All right, this is off season. We're gonna see how smart you guys are."
I know you just said it with KJ. I think Simon's probably pretty smart too, considering the overseas education. Like, call that stereotypical, fine, but Simon is a very intelligent guy.
He's a very smart guy.
I bet he'd do very well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess we'll never know.
Yeah, I don't know who the brainiacs are though. Huh? I just know who they're not. I think I could be wrong on those two. All right. Does Sexton's
Calvin
wife?
Heimberg. That's a good.
Yes.
Yeah, Calvin Heimberg is.
Oh, and I'll follow that up with Andrew Fish. I met him the same time frame I met Calvin Heimberg.
Yeah,
Calvin's incredibly smart.
Yeah.
Andrew Fish, I think, is on another level of smarts as well. I'm pretty sure.
Good answers.
So those would be good answers.
Thank you, whoever said Calvin Heimberg.
Yes.
As soon as you said that, I was like, that's right. That kid is real smart.
Yes, he is. And Von Breezy, yes, you get a shout out for such a great question. However, I'm not sure how good we were at answering it. So, Japanese. I bet you the Japanese guy, Manabu Kajiyama, lived in Germany for 9 years. Fact, they're smarter than we are. Way smarter. I believe that is true. Austin Turner, probably because he is in school now. That could be one logic. He's at the gym right now. That's why he couldn't join us. He's probably still there, too. Maybe he's listening to us. Hey, Austin.
That's right.
10 more reps, pal. You'll get ripped. You'll get there someday. Austin, I had heard, was in a rush to get home. He was excited. Sitting at home after the most recent tour leg that he had performed in was a new car of sorts. I don't know all the details, but I know he was got a new car to get back to, which is pretty cool.
That is pretty. That's always fun. A new car. I keep looking at my car, which still has like a year to be paid off on it, and it's this tiny little Honda Fit, and I think I could like a new car, but there's no point. I don't need it. So,
all right. So I think we do have a giveaway. Well, I know we have a giveaway, and I know I'm a little behind. As you know, I've been traveling quite a bit. I think I have 2 or 3 weeks worth of stuff that's going to be given out. And honestly, this probably isn't going out before I get on my plane tomorrow morning. So it'll go out early next week when I get home, along with a few other things. So let's give this away. This is, again, a Green Mountain Disc Golf Club G-Star Thunderbird, max weight, 175 massive grams. And this is thanks to Chris and Jeff and the Green Mountain Disc Golf Club. This will be going out to you.
All right, let me check my list and make sure I've checked it twice, so I find out who's going to be naughty or nice. There's someone. I'll make sure he's on here. Perfect. Someone signed up just today, this afternoon.
What?
Let's
give him a shout out.
As a $5 patron.
No way.
Josh Couch.
Josh, thank you.
Josh reached out and said, "How do I? What are all the perks I get?" So here are a couple of the perks. You get your name listed on. Well, first of all, you're entered in for the weekly giveaway. That's at the $1 level.
Done.
The $2 level, you get your name listed as a producer on the show credits.
Boom.
So thank you. The $3 level, you're gonna get one of the discs that I see right over there right now. And at the $5 level, you get all the above. Plus, Terry will give you a kiss. No.
Yes.
Plus, if you ever want to ask a question and we have a guest on, message me. And we will make sure that your question is front and center. So
assuming it's reasonable.
Assuming it's reasonable. Yeah, you're right. I'm not gonna ask Uli when he lost his virginity or something stupid like that. I was just
Why
thinking.
Why did you think of Uli?
Because Uli was going to be on the show tonight.
Sure.
And Uli is one of the people that I think I could say that about and not offend. I think he'd get a chuckle out of it. So.
But if you do want to know, then that's at the $20 level.
That's at the $20. That's the private $20 level. So, all right. So that's patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. We have 160 people in right now. So I've gone to random.org and I'm generating a number. They're sorted by first name. So number 72. Let's see who that is. Number 72.
I think Jeremiah Mraz, is it? Says I think I've read between the lines and he doesn't want it. So if his name's chosen, we just ignore him.
It was almost, the funny thing is Josh Couch is number 70. It's a different Josh. It's Joshua Moore.
Out
of Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. So congratulations, Joshua. That means Terry can drive it to your house tonight. And we'll drop it
Before
off.
I go get on my plane tomorrow morning, I would just love to go like the hour each way, even after your city did burn me and screw me over on the course design that I did for you, but we won't talk about that. I won't even bring it up.
So congratulations, Joshua Moore. I've got your address. I'll send you out an email with Terry so he has it. We'll get that sent to you in the next week or so.
Sweet.
And thanks for being a patron. Thanks for everyone for supporting.
Thank you, Joshua, who may or may not be working a third shift job at the moment. And I'll just say best of luck to you and your family. I hope everything's going as well as it can be. So thank you for supporting, Pat. We appreciate it. All right. Dad played it. Okay. So some are saying that G-Star is a little bit, presumably, too soft for them in the Florida region for playing.
I can completely understand that. I think G-Star would be really good for us up here come
Winter
fall
time.
and winter. I do have a G-Star disc that I did notice was it was tacky and it is soft. So if on a really warm day, I could see it feeling too floppy.
And Seti thought that he lost the stream just before his name was going to be drawn for the first time. And nope, not so much, Seti. You still are the opposite of a winner for the Patreon drawings.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, the stream must have really died during the giveaway for a second. That's kind of funny because More than one people. We all lost it. A few people.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. On my side, it doesn't look like it went anywhere. So sorry
if
about
that's
that.
the case, we'll do it again real quick.
No, the same. I'll give you the
same
name
winner.
The winner is Joshua Moore. The Joshua Moore out of Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. I don't know how we lost the stream, but congratulations, Joshua Moore.
That's so funny. Everybody says that it died during that time. So yes, the number was drawn. It was randomly put together. It picked number 72, and once it hit 72, we figured out that was Joshua Moore tonight. So here's the other official release info thing tonight that I can give you guys as I'm reaching off in a distance.
I'll take one.
Okay, so here they are. Thanks to Rick Hushain, who had put this together for us. We're going to have 2 molds for you. And here is your Patreon supporter disc. Your arms are
My
bigger.
arms are longer.
And my hand isn't going to hold it up anymore. All right, so it reads on it that it is, in fact, 2017 Patreon supporter around it, along with our big Smashbox S logo. We have wardens, and we have, I believe, the other stack, the other half, are judges. And I'd like to say you're going to get exactly what you want, which is whatever we send you. So I brought these over to Johnny's. We're going to start getting our signatures on them, and we'll be sending these out to you guys. So we really appreciate it.
These are for the $3 and up level. So thank you to all the patrons who support us. And again, this is a special benefit to the $3. Again, the goal is to have a new one of these every year. So as long as you're a $3 patron, we want to make it worth your time and your money. And I know you guys.
I know our content's not doing it, so we got to give you something.
That's right. If we can't do it with our looks and our content, we will buy your love.
Yes, we will.
So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dynamic Disc, for getting this done. But thank you to the patrons more so.
Yeah, thank you guys very much. So we're going to get these signed. Bought a couple of new Sharpies even tonight, and we'll get some signatures on those, and those will likely start going out next week is the plan, again, once I return from the U.S. Women's. If you or anyone you know would like to support U.S. Women's coverage, feel free to reach out to me. It worked out really well, actually, a few weeks ago when I was in Pittsburgh. I had a few amazing companies. One that stands out is El Guapo Baskets. He stepped up big time and said he wanted to support the women's coverage at that event. And anyone else that wants to at the U.S. Women's is welcome to reach out to me, and we can get your logo on things. We can get commercials added. There's a lot of different ways we could have you represented while I'm at the U.S. Women's event this upcoming week. So, all right, guys. I don't really have too much else.
No,
I've got to catch a plane in a few hours.
Yeah, I think we're good. You've been busy. I watched.
Yeah,
I watched a lot of TV.
Okay,
the other day.
Good.
This weekend, actually, my wife was gone, and after the podcast, I did that, so I finished watching The Defenders on Netflix. That was good. Lots of superhero stuff. Glow was really good. Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling.
Mm-hmm. I assume
on Netflix. It's got
seriously.
Yeah.
Was it a documentary on it?
No. It's kind of like it's a comedy based on the creation of it. And I don't know how true to form it is or not. It's got Alison Brie from Community in it, and Mark Maron, who's a comedian as well. He does the WTF podcast.
Yep.
So it's them, and it's a comedy drama type thing. I enjoyed it. It wasn't fantastic, but it wasn't bad. It was just good. It was worth watching. So I got both of those. I'm looking forward to 2 new books. I bought and downloaded a book called The Naturalist. So it's a serial killer type thing. It's written by an author I listen to a podcast he's on, so I'm excited for that. I'll let you know how that is when I finish reading it. And I watch a lot of football. And we crushed Ian from Central Coast.
Yeah, we did.
And then
suck it, Ian.
Corey from Central Coast last week crushed us.
Oh, you didn't tell me that.
No. And this week we go up against Steve Hill. Psh. I know. I made a wonderful comment to Steve Hill. I basically
from Alta Wimp?
From basically Alta Wimp. Hold on, I will get it. I was very happy with the comment that I made and the insult that I gave him. It basically said, "I'm the only one talking smack in this entire thing."
So they've gotta love it.
Except for Robert McCall, who said, "I'm going to try to beat you." So that's Robert's level of smack talk. I basically said, "Steve Hill, plan on squashing your team like modern video has crushed your chosen written medium. Maybe after our game, you can send me a homemade zine with your poetry telling me how sad you are.
Nice.
So, yeah. But we're doing good. We're doing all right. We're 1-1, but I think we've got one of the best teams. So we've also had the most points scored against us by a landslide. Each team has put up 140 points when most teams are putting up about 100. But against us, got to come at the king.
Yeah, bring it.
Bring it, hell.
Seti asks, am I the only Patreon supporter that hasn't received anything? By anything, I mean absolutely nothing. No, first of all, that's incorrect. You receive us. You receive us in your ears. You receive us on your screens. You have the gift of us. So your cup overfloweth already, my friend. And secondly, with 100 and some odd eligible Patreon people, we have given out since the beginning of this year probably 40-ish.
I could actually even
people.
tell you.
One a week.
One a week. I could actually tell you.
So if you do some math, looking for that smartest person on tour, if you do some math, it'll tell you that there's been a good majority of the people have not received anything else besides our sultry voices.
And I don't think we've given out yet a duplicate prize. I thought we thought we were going to, or did maybe we give out one.
I don't recall,
but I wasn't sure. So yeah, so we've been pretty fortunate that we haven't done that. So
Dad's Drunk says, isn't Patreon about not receiving anything other than to show your support? You could look at it that way.
Depends.
Some people very much when they enter into certain things, they would love the return, and sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. Patreon sets it. We have it set up obviously so that certain levels you can get certain things in return, but I would certainly not go on expecting.
No, and usually,
especially when they're lottery based.
Yeah, exactly. I am a patron of I think 6 or 7 different people or accounts. Most of the time, what they will give you is a lot of times they'll give you like a monthly or a quarterly secret chat and hangout where it's just you guys. I kind of feel like we do that with the after show. There's not much that people are going to ask us if we say, hey, we're going to set up one just for you guys.
Sure.
That we're going to answer anything differently than we do here. So to me, that's kind of pointless. Oh, the other thing you get when you're a Patreon member, if you're listening to this and you're not signed up, look under your Patreon, and there is a special RSS feed that you get the entire podcast tonight. So Tuesday nights, when we finish, the first thing I do is upload it to Patreon. So if you don't get a chance to watch the YouTube, everybody is eligible for that, and you don't have to wait. Otherwise, we make everybody else wait until Wednesday. No, tomorrow's Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday for the audio version. You can always go out and watch on YouTube, but if you want to listen to it in the background and do other things, YouTube, unless you're a YouTube Red subscriber, they don't allow you to do that. So go ahead. That's what another option you get for Patreon.
Yes, you get it early. You get us early and often, or something. That's all we got. It's been a great night. Sorry, Paul Ulibarri, that you didn't join us. Maybe next time. I know whenever he talks about joining us and then ends up not joining us, usually it's because he's fallen asleep or moved on to other things because we didn't communicate well. So I'll take any kind of blame for that if there is any. But we look forward to having Nathan and Val at some point as well. We're overdue on having Paige Pierce at some time, Austin Turner. So we've got a lot of great people to be lining up. And as the season winds down, I think it's going to be a lot easier to make sure we get up to speed with a lot of our players and check in with them. And I look forward to doing just that. So we're going to call it USDGC Fantasy Talk. We're getting screamed at.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so here's the deal. USDGC Fantasy. I had a couple options. I decided to take the easiest method for myself because normally you pick 4 men and 2 women, and you have a certain salary cap that kind of adjusts for that. I either need to make a couple decisions. Do I lower the salary cap and just allow the men? And then if so, what do I do it at? Do I open it up and let people pick 6 men and keep the salary cap as it is? The problem is then you're picking 980 or 950 rated men, MPO players. I didn't like that. And everything I have as far as the back end of the servers is set up to do this. So I think what I'm just going to do is we're not going to count any of the FPO. It's going to be USDGC is going to be kind of free for all. Just pick whatever 4 men you want. You're going to have plenty of cap room to whomever you decide. I'm sure someone was worried that, oh, well, everyone's going to pick Ricky and Paul. And that's great. How many times have they won?
Yeah.
So,
how many times did they withdraw from the back?
Yeah, exactly. And I said that about Paul. I
that.
said, if he's hurt, who's going to pick him? He's not 100%.
How many times are they not leading after 3 rounds?
Yeah. I mean, is everyone going to pick Germ, Eagle? I mean, they both played very well last year. So I don't really mind this one being a free-for-all. So just put whatever you want in for FPO. It's not going to matter. We're not going to count it. We're just still going to continue to count the 4 MPO players. So, yeah.
Someone said, can you still choose Paige Pierce?
You can. Yeah, she is in the MP because the top 4 are actually all players because I adjusted that for World Tour because the World Tour didn't have an FPO for a lot of them. So you can pick, I believe, FPO players for those top 4 picks. The bottom 2, I restricted strictly to FPO players because that's for the FPO division and men cannot play in that division. So the top 4 options are for everybody. The bottom 2 are just for FPO. And I did work with my developer, and we've set a very high price for redeveloping and designing the website for next year, getting all that taken care of. I laid out a list of 9 things that I put on the webpage earlier or last month, and I think we're going to be able to accomplish most of those, if not all of them. So hopefully the goal is by the mid-January for me to have a new back end, and we'll see about the layout of the front end or not. So exciting stuff.
Sounds like me going to the gym. By mid-January, I have a new back end and a new front end.
No, you don't.
I will. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you. Yeah, another sick burn. I know. I got one in on Macbeth. I just keep twisting that knife in his already injured back. I just keep going at it.
Hey, if he has something to say about it, he knows our number.
Yeah.
If he wants to bring it, man.
No, I was saying that Hannah handed me something.
Back it up.
Hannah handed me it was like a framed photo of sorts, and she said, "Oh, can you just keep this in your car? I'll grab it from you later in the weekend." We got to the airport, and I was like, "Oh yeah, cool." Here in the rental car, I still have this image. It's a picture of Paul actually putting in Vermont. And I reached out to them today and said, "What do you want me to do with this?" And I said, "I'll bring it to Tennessee." So it works out. It works out just fine. We're all good, guys. No worries. $20 leagues. Dad's drunks. Just rambling on about being drunk. A dad that's drunk. For Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the disc golf guy. Thanks for a great show and tuning in and joining us tonight. Hope you got at least a shred of information, truthful knowledge, or insightful information out of us. If you didn't, keep listening next week. It might happen. We'll see you guys for podcast 160 sometime next week after the United States Women's Disc Golf Championships. We'll see you then.